All right, no better way to start episode 227 than with the shenanigans that I'm going to cut out. You guys aren't going to hear all that stuff. It's fine. It's fine. Hey, for those of you who have been around for a long time, maybe you listened to Father the Grind back in the day, you've got Dan and Derek and Tim. The old crew is back together, and we're going to talk about some games.
The DDT. Huh?
The
That's
old
a wrestling
DDT.
DDT.
Jeff would be proud of you right now.
That's right.
He'd be proud of you.
That's for Jeff. That's for Jeff.
But
does that stand for double D?
Yeah. Well, that's when Dan's here.
Yeah, that's not. But Derek, I thought you'd appreciate some of the tins that I've gotten just from Temu. Like, thanks China for all the cheap stuff. These are all super cheap on Temu.
I can see Shadow of the Colossus. What's some of the other ones?
That's Witcher. That's like the wolf thing.
Oh, okay.
I need to get better lighting so you can see it. Of course, that's Melania.
Yeah.
There's Kratos. He's got his back to you. And then
are those decently priced?
Yeah, they're like $7 or $8 per.
Oh wow.
Oh really? Because like I got obsessed with those. Now I'm gonna forget what. The metal posters. Ones?
Yeah,
the metal posters. So they're like.
So that's what these are. These are like the metal. They're like
they're bigger than those, but they're also the ones I was buying ended up after shipping and all that stuff are usually about $35-$40 a piece. Yeah.
They're probably higher. They're gonna be higher quality, right? These are essentially just prints onto these thin sheets, but
over there, those guys right there.
Are those the metal plate?
Yeah.
Yes, the metal posters is what I mean.
I got the Cloud and Sephiroth up there.
Nice. Well, it's an interesting time. We're smack dab in the middle of the year. Last week we did a little look back at Game of the Year contenders so far this year. And now we're going to look forward. So we'll do that as part of our show, is previewing the second half of 2024, because as we like to say on this show, we're halfway there. We say it all the time, though, so it never makes sense. But this time it does make sense. We're literally halfway there.
Sometimes
there's not really any notable new releases this week, but I'll go over a couple that have come out that are worth at least mentioning if you're into these types of games or a DLC expansion. And then we're also going to talk about patriotic games when we get to our headlines. I'm going to go over a few America games with you guys. Now, listen, I know 4th of July is past, but I celebrate 4th of July for the whole month. No, I'm just kidding. I just didn't have time in the episode last week to do this, so I bumped it.
Tim, where's your red, white, and blue? Like, you're not wearing the shirt. You guys are
I'm wearing orange. I'm done. Patriotism. It's over.
I'm wearing a shirt, so I'm happy.
Yeah, that's a step up. Yeah.
Progress.
I did want to highlight, though, as far as new games that are out this week, there is a major and really excellent Steam summer sale happening right now. So if you've got some games you've been waiting on that are on your wish list, it goes till July 11th. So make sure you check that out. There's some really good ones. I always use SteamDB, that website, that Steam database. And it'll kind of highlight the ones that are on a new record low sale, like whether it's been on that kind of sale before or not. So you can get an idea of like historical sale prices, which I think
that's great.
Helpful to see, especially when a game that I'm keeping my eye on all of a sudden hits a new historical low, like, hey, it's down to 35% off. It's never gone down that low. It's like, all right, I will grab it. So sometimes I do that. So yeah, that's a thing to keep your eyes on. A couple of games that are worth highlighting. I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure this just came out this past week. The Legend of Heroes: Trails Through Daybreak. I think that just came out this week.
That just came out, yeah.
And then they announced like the second one.
Dude, that series is
just churning out games.
I just saw a trailer today for the second one. I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Pretty sure you guys. Now I know I think they release their games in Japan first, and then they release them in the States, and then that's probably why they're announcing the second one, because it's probably coming out in Japan later this year or something like that.
Yeah,
but I can't keep up though.
There's like different ones, because it's like there's also the Trails in the Sky, and then there's all these different ones, dude. Like they're already discussing. The CEO, I think, had said something last week about like, hey, like we're aware that people have been like, listen, your like original ones are like 20 years old now, and we can't play them. So they're gonna like maybe probably start remastering and stuff. Like,
are these all connected? Like, is this a situation where I have to be like Dan and start from the beginning?
A lot of them, yes.
All of them were, except like the newer ones. I think the Daybreak ones are like you can miss stuff, but it's like new cast of characters, kind of a new thing.
Okay.
There's
I think
the one that's
finally figuring out you can't bring in new gamers when you have like 20 games in your backlog.
The Cold Steel ones are the ones that have like Persona element, where it's like students. So
I played those before I played Persona games.
There's like,
and I was like, oh, these are cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, really like cool looking anime style JRPGs from what I remember, at least. I think I played the demo for one of them years ago. I just never really got into it, but they look like cool games. So that one is out in the US now. You can go check that out. Also, Zenless Zone Zero. I do believe, Derek, you were there when we talked about the games that were being announced when this was announced, and we all liked the fact that it was the acronym is ZZZ because it was so freaking boring looking. Like, nope, sleeping through this. No, it looks like a free-to-play Genshin Impact type of game. I don't know if it's as good as Genshin Impact. I'm not at all suggesting that. It just has that vibe of free-to-play.
So I saw a very short clip of it. I don't know if Derek, you have. I
My
watched
daughter's a freak for
Genshin,
anything that they release. So she loves Genshin. She loves what is it, the rail one?
Honkai.
Oh, Star Rail.
Star Rail.
Yeah,
and so I even mentioned this one to her. She's like, "Oh, I'm ready. So she's excited."
Well, I saw a clip of it and I literally like hard quit out of that clip like 30 seconds in because I was like, this is nonsense.
No.
Like Star Rail, at least like is turn-based and there's something unique going on there. And Genshin was like trying to do the Zelda thing. So it's like, well, Zelda's cool. So at least, but this just looks like, I don't know, man. Like the combat looks flashy, but like incredibly boring. Like it looks.
See, I'm opposite. I actually I have it downloaded. I haven't tried it, so I can't speak on it like, oh, I know what it is. But like I actually think the combat looks cool. It's just I'm still turned off by free to play, which I'll talk about a different free to play game later. Well, you might mention it now, but like another one that just came out that I actually have put time in.
Go ahead and talk about that one.
So the First Descent came out, or Descendant, whatever it is. I don't know.
I think it's First Descendant.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. The plot doesn't matter. Nothing matters. But I probably put about 5 hours in, and so I would say overall it's enjoyable. Let me, for anybody who's not listening, explain what it is. It's free to play. It is a third person action like looter shooter action shooter. It for me, it reminds me probably the most of, it's got like Outriders vibes, but I feel like Outriders does gameplay better. This one just looks better, but they're both very soulless. But Outriders is my preferred because it's not free to play, and it's not just a simple like, so you just get turned off by free to play. Like Outriders is everything's in game, and they don't have a gazillion different things going on trying to keep you to play forever. This game is clearly doing the free to play where it's like, yes, they want you to buy the skins and stuff like that, which I should say that first of all, I don't find this intrusive as far as them trying to get my money, like my actual money. It's simply like, if you want to unlock characters early, you can pay for them. But if you don't want to, you can actually take on missions and unlock the characters by grinding and completing those missions, which I'll talk about in a second. And then the other stuff is just like skins, which I looked at some of them. Like I unlocked the character Bunny. She's a pretty cool character. Like she's actually fun to play with and she looks cool. And then I was looking at some of her, color palettes and her skins. I was like, ooh, I might want to buy these. And I was like, no, not until you prove to your. Well, yeah, but the reason I was able to say no is I said, because I go from game to game to game. So I was like, until you prove to yourself that this is like a Destiny type game where you're actually going to play it for a long time, then I'll invest money in it because I feel like they deserve it. If it's just going to be something I play for 5 to 10 hours and never come back to, then I'm not going to invest in it because that's just a waste of money and time. But overall, what I was trying to say is it's not intrusive. It's not required. If you want to get ahead or you just want to unlock new, it's not pay to win either. It's just if you want to unlock new characters. That's it. because all the cosmetics doesn't have any stat bonuses. Other than that, there's a lot of loot. The shooting's good. They have a grappling system, but the way I explained it online, and this is how I felt about it when I was talking to Jesse and Rob in my chat, because Rob was interested, Jesse's not interested. And I just said, dude, it's a soulless game. It just feels like a bunch of suits were sitting around. They're like, what do all these gamers like? And they wrote them all down, and then they checked them all.
Maybe AI.
That's what I was gonna say. And then they took that list and they uploaded it in their AI machine.
Free to play games are,
and their AI machine just shot out a bunch of attractive looking people with all of the colors that we like. So like there's a lot of purples and blues and greens and yellows, and that's all it is. It's just
the
a bunch of loot.
It's on Unreal Engine 5 as well. Like I remember when I was like, this looks like aesthetically up my alley, but
it's a good looking game. It is fun to play. My issue with it, when I say it's soulless, is I could give two rats' butts about anybody. They're trying to tell a story, but it's like I don't care. Like you guys, first of all, the voice acting is not terrible, but it's not great. You can tell the dialogue is not good. And then
Stellar
the
Blade
big thing,
in that respect, because it's almost kind of giving me a little bit of the similar energy, like a little
Stellar
bit.
Blade's not that great when it comes to voice acting and dialogue either, but it's not god awful. I would say the biggest turnoff to this game, actually, what I should say instead of getting caught up on like the dialogue and stuff, is actually the mission structure. It's dumb. Like you're doing like a main mission, but all you do is like run into an area and you just like push a button and it's like stand in this area while a bunch of enemies come at you, and it's like okay, so it's just cheesy multiplayer modes basically.
Yeah.
So then
sounds
you
almost like
that.
an MMO mission, doesn't it? A little
bit.
Like
yeah. But it's like and again, this is early. I'm only 5 hours in. A lot of them are super short, so it doesn't feel like you're. Do you get what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like you're on a main mission where you're adventuring. It's just let me talk about this quest, and then your quest is go 10 feet over there and shoot 15 enemies, and then you're done with that quest. I'm like, this is dumb. This doesn't feel like a story campaign like mission. It doesn't feel.
It's so weird that you're saying that, because literally that's what that trailer was of Zenless Zone Saga.
Yeah.
It was a screen, you clicked on a thing, the mission booted up, she ran like 10 feet, and then it was just like, oh, yeah, and then there was just like you're in a box and you're fighting this thing. Like literally the same thing.
So I care about that stuff. So like as far as if I just want to turn off my brain and just play something mindlessly, that's what I'm complimenting it on. They do a very good job. It's
good loot system.
It's very pretty. It's not terrible, but there's just so much of it. Like I don't even know what all of it is, and then I go into this, and all I'm doing is because there's so much of it. I just look and go, all right, which one's the highest number? That's all I care about. So it's kind of a waste of time. I don't feel like there's a lot of like significant stat bonuses that you would be like, well, even though this is a level 10 and this other game's our other gun's a 12, I'd rather have the 10 because it has these stats that are going to make it better. It doesn't feel that way. It just feels like go by your attack power. If it's higher, which is normally going to be on the higher level item, just equip that.
Yeah.
You know, you might get like an epic or ultimate weapon that's lower level, but it's got more stat bonuses. Sure, you keep that, but most of the time you're getting the same level of stuff, same like number level, but also like most of them are epic or rare. So get rid of all the rare, and then you just look at the epic, and whatever's the highest attack power, you keep it. So there's not a lot to that so far. I'm sure again they're gonna open up more things. I will say this. I know Gaston in our group was like, "Yeah, I'm done with it. It was cool. I'm done with it."
Bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's fine. He plays a good amount of games. He wants to move on. I'm gonna probably stick around a little bit longer. I think it's fun, and I want to see if I can get sucked into it. If not, then I'll just delete it. It's free to play, so who cares?
Free to play. So why not? If you're interested in a third-person looter shooter, go give that one a whirl. Let's see how it's done on Steam chart. It got up to just under 250,000 concurrent, which is pretty good. That's not bad at all.
I saw one review that gave it a 5 out of 10. And I was like, I wouldn't get mad at seeing that with my experience.
The Steam user reviews are at 51%, so that's not great.
Yeah. So but, that fits it.
You know, free to play. I mean, it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell.
I mean, like Eric said, you pump it into a thing and it just poops it out, you know?
Yeah.
It's a tough sell when it's soulless. And you can tell when it's soulless. And a lot of these free to play, because all they care about is we just want you to keep playing. We just want you to keep playing. If that's if that's your ultimate goal, then how can you have a riveting campaign with characters you care about? Because we all know anything that's oversaturated gets old and gets terrible. So you have to keep it shallow to keep people playing, because again, you'll oversaturate it. So they want to keep it shallow. So yeah, if you just go into it for fun gunplay, you'll get it. But if you're looking for a great story campaign and a free no.
I don't want to sound like destructive, but considering all the BS that's happened in the game industry like this year, and it's only, well, I mean, now it's like past the halfway mark. There needs to be less of this crap. Like enough. Like
I think they're
gonna do it, at least put something meaningful in it, you know.
Figured out like when to release these too. You got 2 big ones coming out the same week in the middle of the summer, and I will say I can't say during COVID, but I know the last couple years and then before COVID, we were getting where games were coming out January through December consistently. There was no such thing as a downtime. I feel like this year there actually is a downtime, and this is it. And this was actually the good month for them to go, you know what? Let's roll out a free to play. Because I watched, I didn't just download it because it was a free game. I was starting to hype myself for this.
It looked good. The visuals looked cool.
I was like, I'm going to start watching some stuff on it. And I saw a lot of people previewing it, and they played the beta, and they're like, this game's so good. And I was like, awesome. I'm all in. And that's when I was like, okay. I'm not mad at it. I'm not bashing it here.
Well, also, it's not like you invested money and now you're kind of like, I don't know about spending that money. It's like, well, it's free to play. If anything, it's your time, but that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
but
that's not bad. Also out this week was Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail, the much anticipated expansion for that very popular MMO. I have no idea what people think about this. I know the general response on Final Fantasy XIV is very positive ever since the rebirth, and all the expansions have gotten, as far as I can tell, really good user and critical reviews. I think Dawn Trail is well liked. I haven't heard any hullabaloo about it.
I mean, it just came out, so and I mean, of course, it's an MMO, right? So it takes time to get through the content.
Well, there's unexpected things whenever you may have a major update for any game. There's going to be like, oh, I didn't realize once we got 1 million people playing this at the same time, now this thing happens. I didn't realize that. So now they have to. There's things I have to clean up a little bit for sure, but that is out. Yeah, are you playing it, Dan? Are you gonna go back to it?
I mean, I haven't even I haven't even got to Heaven's Ward. That's the first expansion. So this is the 5th one. I'm very behind. I haven't played.
You're in the first expansion?
No, I'm like right before it.
Oh, okay.
And I haven't played in like probably almost a year, because I did jump back into it. I think last year when there was a lull, I was like, all right, let me jump back into 14. And I played like a good amount, like more than I did initially the first time.
You know, there wouldn't have been a lull if you would have played Tears of the Kingdom the way you're supposed to play it and finished that game. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, I'm getting prepared. All right.
I got still not finished it?
No.
I was the only one on the show who finished it, Derek. It was sad.
Well, I've mentioned I did.
I finished it before I quit. I think I finished it before I quit.
Yeah.
So technically 2 people.
Yeah, well, there you go.
True.
Well, I'm just doing the same thing.
It's the game that caused me to retire.
You're like, I'm out. I'm good.
Bunch of fake gamers. Nobody's finishing this game. I'm out.
Nothing exceeds Tears of the Kingdom. It's, you know, these games out here still not letting you just climb whatever you want to climb. So
I know, what the heck.
Yeah, that was what I was trying to do the entire time I was playing Stellar Blade. I couldn't climb the cliffs, so I was like, this game sucks.
She's very bad at jumping around on cliffs and everything.
She's bad at everything. She's janky as hell.
All right, guys. So one of the things we want to do is preview the rest of 2024. Speaking of there being a lull, I agree that there is a lull. I actually think, as I was looking through the release dates, we are in for, depending on your interests in certain genres. If you're not into sports, for example, maybe the lull continues for a little while. But anyway, there's going to be some waves of major releases over the next several months. So I thought I'd go through these, and you guys can tell me either day one, wait and see, or not going to get it. All right, here we go. So, and if I miss any, we'll stop at the end of each month. Tell me if I missed something from that month. All right, so we'll start with July. So July 9th, coming out this week, we have Once Human. You familiar with this one? You might have to look it up.
I would say Once I Cared, but I don't.
I mean, I've heard of it. I just don't know what.
So I'm a wait and see. I think it looks really cool.
This is the one that has like that bus with like spider arms, but then there's hands at the end of it, which is super creepy.
It looks wacky.
It's a survival horror?
I'm a wait and see on Once Human. We'll see.
It reminds me of what is it? What's the one?
Choo Choo Charles? Just kidding.
No. Is it Remnant?
Remnant. I got Remnant vibes from the art style on this.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. We have a Devolver game on the 11th called Angerfoot that comes out this week too. I'm not gonna get it, but I did think the demo was funny. This very cartoon style boot kicking everything. All right, here we go. Here's some actual serious ones. Ninja Turtles Splintered Fate comes out on the 17th. Are you guys? I'm a wait and see on that one. You guys, I'm pretty sure that's the isometric view one. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I thought this was out already. No,
I don't think so. Unless I got my dates wrong.
Splinter, because I thought I was hearing that
maybe out on arcades, maybe, but it's hitting everything else soon.
It says
that's coming out.
It says Switch on the 17th. Is it coming out on other consoles, or is it already out on other consoles? I guess I could just look it up. It's almost like we have, the internet.
Okay, so you're right, Dan. It did come out last year on other platforms, but it's just.
Okay. Because I was gonna say, I thought I remember hearing it's pretty mediocre.
Pretty mediocre. Okay.
I'm gonna definitely pass on that one.
Yeah, I'm going to pass on that one too, especially with it being a re-release of something that people are already saying it's not amazing. What about Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn on the 18th?
I already have it pre-ordered, but it is also for those who don't want to pay for it and have an Xbox or a PC. It is on Game Pass.
Nice.
Yeah, that looks.
But I pre-ordered
there's a demo on
PC.
Steam if you want to try it on PC. There's a demo.
This is the guys, in case people aren't aware. This is the creators of Ashen, which I enjoyed. So
this looks like a really cool modern game that they're making. Whereas Ashen was like a painting, sort of.
Yeah, this is them trying to take it to the next level, and they've already said that it's not a Souls-like, it's a Souls-light, which I prefer. Like, I love Souls games, but I need my breaks from them.
Yeah.
So I'm happy.
Give me a creative spin on it too.
I'm fine with you pulling things from the Souls games, but not everything has to be hard, and I know this one has level of difficulties and stuff like that.
That same day is actually quite busy, so I'm a wait and see on that one. I know Derek, you're already getting it. Yeah. Dan, is that one that you'll?
It looks interesting. That'll be one I would download on Game Pass and be like, let me give this a try.
Give it a try. Yeah, all right, there's another one called Shim, which is this little indie isometric game where you're a shadow frog thing, hopping from shadow to shadow. Let me just save you all time. I think the art style is super cool. The gameplay is pretty dull. You're literally just hopping from shadow to shadow, trying to get from point A to point B.
Sounds like a Derek game.
The epitome of indie game. I don't think. I mean, there's a demo, so go give it a try, I guess, if you like indie games. Metal Slug Awakening comes out on the 18th. I believe that is a brand new actual Metal Slug game. They've played around with the genre a bit with that IP, but this is an actual like run and gun Metal Slug shooting game called Awakening. And then Nintendo World Championships NES Edition. Those are all out on the 18th. So smaller games, very niche games. Flintlock's pretty niche. Shim's very niche. Metal Slug, but a busy day.
Oh, this Metal Slug thing looks weird. This is giving me some weird free-to-play vibes.
I don't really like the way it looks either. I'm not sure if it actually is that way or not.
It's giving me like Fortnite vibes. It's like, don't do that to Metal Slug. Come on, don't do that.
Maybe you need to be awakened.
I'm staying asleep. The
19th is a pretty busy day. We not only have a new game from Capcom, a new IP as far as I can tell, Kunitsugami Path of the Goddess, which I just downloaded that demo. I didn't realize there was a demo up for it. I'm going to try it out. I haven't tried it yet.
I've tried it.
It looks. How is it? Is it interesting? It looks interesting.
Okay. It's another. By the way, it's another Game Pass game. So again, if you're semi interested and you don't want to pay money, I'm going to buy it on PC. I want to support it, and I just think it looks. It's cool because it's combining a bunch of different styles of games, and I do think, and I could be wrong,
like
I
strategy,
feel like
action.
Yeah, it has strategy, it has action. There's a lot of things going on. I only played like for a little bit just to get a vibe check, and I was like, cool, I'm in. But yeah, it seems pretty cool, and again, it's another day one Game Pass game, so
yeah.
Strategy part is unexpected.
Yeah, I know. I agree. I'm gonna try the demo. So I'm gonna try the demo and see on that one. Also that same day is EA Sports College Football 25, returning after, I believe it's been 12 years, because the last one was 14, and they always had the year. It released the year before the number on the game. I don't know if that makes sense. But anyway, so it came out in 2013, I believe, was the last summer that we got a licensed college football game.
Wow.
So it's been 12 years. It's finally here in under 2 weeks. I know for sure, Derek, you've already purchased it. You'll be playing it.
Yeah,
Since
I bought
we share
the
games, I'll be
expensive
trying it on the PS5, but I don't see why I wouldn't purchase a copy as well. I'm very excited about this. I don't know if are they planning on putting this out on PC? 'Cause I would love to play this on
just
Steam
PS5
Deck.
and Xbox. I wanted to buy it on PC, but I don't know
I'd love
why.
to play it on the Steam Deck.
Same thing with like NHL games; they don't release them on PC, so I don't know why.
Yeah, EA is kind of strange about some of that stuff. They do Madden now. I feel like back in the day they didn't though. It took a while.
And by the way, the version I bought, we get early access, so it should be July 15th.
15th. Sweet.
Yes, they're saying the 15th, so I'm thinking it's like unlocking late night 15th.
That's right. And yeah, by the time that game releases, we are only about 7 weeks away, maybe, from college football games being back on Saturdays. So it's all happening, folks.
Have we seen anything of the game? Like, does it?
The game looks fantastic.
They keep showing like videos of like kind of like showing you all the stuff that they're doing to this one, and I feel like, I haven't obviously played the game, I feel like they're going above and beyond. Like they're not just copying and pasting Madden, that they're going, hey, college football really, it's football. There's only so much you can change about football. But what makes college football different from the NFL is what they're really throwing and investing a lot of time and money in it. And I'm 100% on board.
It's all about that the pageantry and the tradition and the stadium, getting the stadium feel right for fans, and getting the recruiting, which is, to me, that's where the RPG and strategy element for these games always hooks me so much, where it's like, all right, I have to allocate my resources to go recruit the best player, but do I want to waste all my time on the best player who probably isn't going to come to my school? Maybe I should go after a bunch of 4-star players instead of this 5-star kid. So like it actually introduces a really, in my opinion, fun, like strategic.
Did you see like the stuff where like your social matters, like what you can offer the kid?
I did not
like,
watch any of that stuff yet.
It's all like current day, so it's like you gotta prove to these recruits that like
TikToker
they'll make money off of you,
yeah,
that they'll get a starting position, that type of stuff, to like intrigue them to come.
But then like if you promise it, don't deliver it, future recruits aren't going to believe you as much in that area. Like it's got all those things built into it.
I like that. I like that.
Very cool. Especially if you're a college football fan, this is a no-brainer to support. It's been a long time coming. I do know that they made a deal with all players who are in the game. The big name players, they're getting huge deals, right? They're going to have some kind of major like name, image, and likeness deal. There's a Michigan, Texas, and Colorado guy that are like featured, but all the players I think get a few $100, like $500-$600, and a copy of the game just for allowing their name to be in it, which I think if I'm a college student and I'm probably not going to be in the NFL, very few do, and I'm just playing college ball at a small school, like that's a sweet deal. I'll take $600.
Even if I was knew I was going to make it in the NFL, which I follow obviously Michigan a lot. There's several guys on the Michigan squad I know are going to the NFL, and they all immediately announced on their Instagram, I will be in the college football game. Like they're excited. So it's
should be
really exciting to see your name for your favorite school in the game. Like you're in the game. Like that to me is awesome. Super cool.
I think it's great. So I'm excited for this. All right, and then to round out the month of July is Earth Defense Force 6. We named that one in honor of our buddy Kyle, who is camping this weekend.
Nobody except Kyle cares.
Kyle's very excited for this. July 25th, that game comes out.
I played one of these. They're fun.
They are like good, mindless, crazy shooter type games. Yeah.
Hundreds of bugs just coming at you.
I think
just
co-op 2 is like one of the draws of this, if I remember correctly. I think co-op is a big part of it. Anything else from July that you guys know of? That's of all the months I was looking at, that's the quietest one, and there's still some significant ones in there for me. Specifically, college football is the one that I'm really honed in on for this month. Basically, I have 2 weeks left to finish up Elden Ring and anything else that I want to play, because college football is going to take over for a couple weeks there.
Are we going to start like a weekly college football podcast?
I think we have to. Yeah, I think we have to. Yeah, we'll have to actually play all the matchups, Derek, for our teams and like talk about how we did that week with our recruiting.
Yeah, every week we just recap our games and like what we can learn and grow from.
Yeah. Get a blackboard.
We have the blackboard giving the speeches to our teams.
You guys were pathetic. You only won by 42. You guys suck.
You guys choked out there. You choked.
Thanks, coach. All right, August, things get a little bit busier. We've got Star Wars Bounty Hunters getting a re-release. I think it's getting some spruced up visuals. I don't know if the core game at all is changing. I never played this game. This was one of many kind of PS2, Xbox era games that I missed. I think that's the era that one came out in.
Yeah.
So never played it. So I may probably not on that one. Tell you what I am going to get, because it's a fun one and I know that I'll be able to play it with a couple of my kids, is World of Goo 2. Comes out on August 2nd. It got bumped back from a May release. Really fun puzzle game. We'll use the little Switch Joy-Cons to point at the screen and move the little globs around. So those are fun 2-player puzzle games.
Missed opportunity there. Goo, like getting the 2 in the word goo somehow. Like they could have, to goo.
World of 2. Yeah.
World of 2.
I'm with you. Yeah, missed opportunity. They were like, screw it, just put a 2 on the end. We don't have time for this. We don't have time for this.
Yeah, they could have done World 2 Goo.
So many things they could have done. Yeah, I agree.
Gooey.
On the 8th, SteamWorld Heist 2 comes out, and it's funny that I showed the trailer of this one to my son Shepard, who's all my kids enjoy gaming in different ways. Some of them like just Fortnite or Brawlhalla. Some of them really get into the farming game. Some of them love a good RPG or a Metroid game. But Shepard's usually my, give me the really deep strategic tactical game or the really challenging games. He'll play, like right now he's been playing Shadows of War. I think he just finished it actually. That Lord of the Rings, because we watched all Lord of the Rings movies, so he wanted to play that game. So he played that game. And he's played a little bit of Elden Ring. The game is a little intimidating for him, so he'll back off it. And I totally understand that. It is a little intimidating. But he just started playing SteamWorld Heist again, which is a turn-based, side-scrolling kind of goofy robot strategy game. And so he's been playing through the first one. He's almost done with it. And then the second one comes out on the 8th. So that's pretty fun. There's an adventure, I think it's an adventure game called The Precinct that's coming out. Looks really interesting. Check that one out. Obviously, it's a police-centered one, The Precinct. I think it's a mystery-solving kind of an adventure game. And on the 16th, we have Madden NFL 25. I don't know if you guys knew that game comes out every year. A new Madden.
Interesting. Interesting.
What's crazy is I haven't played one in probably like 20 years. And I used to buy those games like every year.
Didn't you also? I think we talked about this before. Like I used to also get hyped when they would announce a soundtrack for the Madden games. I'd be like, sweet, oh, cool, this rock band that I like's on there. Like in Madden 2004, I was really into that.
Yeah, I used to play them every year, and I guess it hasn't been 20 years, but probably 15 years. I just do not care.
Yeah, same here. On the 20th, here we go. Black Myth Wukong arrives on August 20th. This game looks so cool. And the early hands-on previews that I've read and seen, it sounds very promising. What do you guys think about this one? Are you like pretty in on this one, or what do you think?
Down for the monkey action.
I'm excited to find out this is another one that's not really a Souls game. When it clearly looked like it was going to be like a Souls ripoff. So to find out they're kind of like No, yeah, we got elements, but this is more of an action.
Right.
Third-person game.
Maybe more like Stellar Blade. I don't know. Like,
well, that's what I mentioned. It's like a hybrid of of these different elements, which I like.
I'm down for. Like, I had a conversation with Rob and Jesse again about like Rob is for like you should have level of difficulties on every single game. I disagree. I think if you're trying to create a game that the whole point of the game is to be hard and challenging because that's what makes it fun, which I'm not going to get into that. It's a waste of time on the show. Then it should be allowed to be that. My point is that I do like that there are hybrids coming in there. Like, we really like the Souls games, but we're not FromSoft. We can't do that. We need to get people to play our games. So let's kind of be in the middle, like where we're going to challenge you, but if you want to put it on easy mode or make the game in general a little bit easier, some of the systems, let's tweak them so they're not as hard. I like that games are doing that now because I don't want just a bunch of Souls games releasing every month. It goes back to what I was saying earlier. It like gets to the point where it's like, well, I don't want to play these anymore. Yep. I want them to be
I agree.
Spread out.
I agree with you completely.
Flooding the market with Souls, drowning the Souls.
I'm hopeful that it is a unique. I mean, honestly, the setting and the character design, the enemy design looks awesome and creepy and scary. And
I think this is also Unreal Engine 5. I could be wrong.
It is. That's one of the reasons that it took so long. They announced it apparently like several years back. And upgraded it to Unreal Engine 5. It looks amazing. So I'm very intrigued by the setting. Even if it did feel like a Souls ripoff, I feel like I'd like it. But hearing that it's something a little different, it's their own twist on this kind of stuff. I'm very
so fast though too. Like when he's swinging his staff or whatever, it's ridiculous how fast it is. So
it's definitely more leaning in the action game sense, like a Devil May Cry and a Bayonetta. But again, like
even
mixing.
like the Jedi Survivor, right? That's the kind of or that Souls like elements to it that it's clearly learned from the FromSoft games, but it is not as Souls like. It is a Star Wars action game, very fast combat. Then we've got Concord, which is not free to play, guys. It's not out on August 23rd. That is
I'm hearing good things about it though.
I know. And I've even heard that actually the story they tell in it's pretty fun and funny and very Guardians of the Galaxy-esque.
So
the trailer
I haven't written it off yet.
I don't know. I just don't like the is it called a hero shooter? I just don't like that style of game.
The 5v5 type of thing. Yeah.
See, if I'm gonna buy a multiplayer shooter like that isn't co-op, like meaning strictly co-op, that's my type. Like I would rather play an Overwatch or something where there's different
classes,
roles, classes and rules where you can actually feel the difference. Like if you're a healer and you're going out there trying to shoot people to kill them, you're an idiot. So like I like that your rules are actually your rules, and it requires team play. I'm just not big. Like I haven't played Overwatch 2 at all. I played Overwatch a good amount, but Overwatch 2 I didn't play. So for this game to sell me, again, I haven't written it off, is they would have to differentiate it from just being another online Overwatch type game.
Well, when they announced it, like that, there was that one dude talking about how they were like thinking about like fighting games and like all these different. He was like listing a couple of different things, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. Approaching a first-person shooter with like the sort of mindset of like,
but well, what Overwatch mentioned that too when they were making that the way they design their characters are based off like fighting games.
Yeah, so it just means that they're
learning your combos and your specialties and like getting familiar with that. I get that. Yeah. I'm pretty much a no on this. I suppose I could be, you could turn my head back towards it if there's enough positivity around it, but I feel like I'll have other things to play. So I'm probably a no. Same with WoW, The War Within, pretty major expansion coming for World of Warcraft. But I'm excited for folks who are excited. That game still going strong. This is now 20 years. I think they passed their 20-year anniversary this year. Pretty sure. More power to him. Squirrel with the Gun comes out on August 29th.
The real game of the year, guys. It's finally here. It's approaching. We are going to be a squirrel with a motherfucking gun. It's happening.
It literally is like the Matrix squirrel jumping around with the gun.
There's literally like agents in the game. Like there's literally like, because like I think it's like clearly the person as they've been making it has expanded, but it's like you're infiltrating secret like like, facility, and there's like agents in there, and he's doing Matrix shit. Like, it legitimately looks stupid fun.
I like that I'm following along with Tim on GameSpot's 2024 upcoming releases, and they're like,
no,
it's not on there. It's not coming out.
I put that one in especially for me and Dan, because I know we are both gonna play that stupid game.
I'm gonna stream that, and it's just gonna be stupid. It's gonna be dumb.
We know.
Yeah,
hey, that same day
you could play a relevant game. He's like, nope,
not gonna do that. He could that same day play the new entry in the Mana series, but he's like, nah, square with the gun, because Visions of Mana comes out that same day, August 20th.
Visions of Mana is for me. I got to share the squirrel fun.
I got it. Hey, Visions of Mana looks pretty cool. I hope that it delivers. But it's got a cool look to it. I thought it was a remake of Secret of Mana when we first saw it announced. But no, it's a brand new one. So this one's cool.
So is it linked to the other Mana games? Because I played Secret of Mana.
I don't know how connected they are, but
I think it's similar to like maybe not as loosely connected as a Final Fantasy, but I don't think it's so directly connected that you won't know what's going on. I could be wrong.
I know all of the Mana games are on sale on Steam. Like, you can get all like the 3 main ones that are on
Legend,
Steam for like 30 something bucks for all.
The Trials, is that one of them? Trials of Mana, is that one?
Trials of Mana, Legend of Mana,
and then
Secret of Mana.
Secret of Mana.
Yeah. So yeah, that comes out on 29th, the day before the final game we're going to talk about from the month of August, Star Wars Outlaws.
Just from a little title. Yeah.
Just a little title. Hey, this is back-to-back years that right at the end of August, beginning of September, I have a major game that I'm super hyped for. Last year it was Starfield, and that took all my time for the first couple weeks of September, and I loved it. And everyone who hates it is wrong and just is a Sony pony. And just kidding. But not. Star Wars Outlaws looks to be the same thing, where it's like, hey, this is going to be the game probably that takes up my first couple weeks of September. I am really hyped to explore this universe. It looks like an old school, kind of dirty, dusty Star Wars from the original trilogy. It's got that vibe. I always like the smuggler type storyline and skill set and your little buddy. And hey, I realize there's criticisms with it, but Ubisoft can't make anything without people picking it apart. This game to me just looks like it's going to be fun. And hey, and if it's a bad game and that becomes clear beforehand, then I won't get it. Obviously.
See, like for me, Ubisoft used to be like, every time they announced a new title, I was excited. They were like my favorite publisher for a while. It went from EA, which I know people are gonna be like, "Oh my god, he likes everybody that's terrible."
Hey, they were good for a while.
But I liked them when they released good stuff, and then it went from like EA to Ubisoft, because I was like, man, they just keep knocking out with all these, all these amazing games. And then they were like, oh, these are all successful. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, and I was like, all right, now you guys just kind of suck. But this game, I'm all in. I already, if you're going to buy it on PC, Tim, I don't know if you're going to go all in like I did, but I got the Ultimate Edition, which is normally $130. I got it for $105 on Green Man Gaming.
Oh, nice.
And I don't have to wait for the code. So some people don't like to pre-order because they don't want to wait for the code. It's already linked to my Ubi account, so it already said you bought it, and then it linked it. So
it'll unlock when it's released.
Yeah, as soon as preload is ready, it's already ready on my account. So
sweet.
I went all in. I'm excited for this one. I'm hoping it's gonna be. I don't know. I'm hoping it'll be a really, really fun experience, and maybe Ubisoft will not copy and paste their same formula. Maybe they'll add a little bit here.
They've done good third-person shooters, right? With the Ghost Recon games and with Division. Like, I like the feeling of those games.
This also has the Mass Effect thing going on with all the choices. So hopefully they're actually like good choices, and they don't feel just kind of like empty and whatever.
You want to wear the brown pants or the blue pants? That's your choice.
Give me the orange pants.
It impacts the end of the game.
Game ending totally different if your pants are brown. So Star Wars Outlaws. So that to me is the biggest one for the month of August. What about you, Dan? What in August is jumping out? Is it Squirrel with the Gun? Is that your game?
I feel like it's a toss up between Black Myth Wukong and Visions of Mana.
Yeah.
Because Visions of Mana is definitely more up my alley, but dude, Wukong just looks insane.
Isn't Visions though more action? or is
it's an action RPG. Yeah, it's an action RPG. But I don't know, just Black Booth, and also it's the whole Monkey King story, which I mean I don't know super in depth like the actual like
I don't either.
Legend of the Chinese legend of the Monkey King, but I mean that is basically what Dragon Ball Z Goku is like based off of. So
in this, it's Wukong is based off of like the Odyssey to the West or whatever. Journey to the West.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
What about you, Derek? What's your August game that you're most hyped for?
I'm gonna go ahead and say Star Wars. I wouldn't be surprised if Wukong ends up being my favorite.
Yeah.
But there's an excitement for Star Wars Outlaws. I'm not gonna drop it off just because Wukong does look cool, but I just the thought of we're getting an open world Star Wars game.
Yeah.
This could actually be the Dragon Age. This could be the Dragon Age.
It could be.
Dragon Age.
I mean, we all know I was let down by the previous two Star Wars games because they were not Dragon Age. Right, this one could be Dragon Age.
And hey, Dragon Age Veilguard is trying to become Star Wars, so it's full circle. Go ahead, Dan.
The last Star Wars game was like Dragon Age. It finally came full circle, Derek.
Yeah. Totally. It's exactly like it. All right, so that's July and August. Let's get into the holiday, quote unquote holiday or fall months. In September, we've got what I think looks like a mobile game. I don't know if it is. Harry Potter Quidditch Champions is coming out. It's not even like an add-on to the really excellent Hogwarts Legacy game. It's not that. It's just its own separate.
Is it just like a multiplayer?
That's what it looks like. We didn't really get to see any gameplay. It just had kind of a cheaply made trailer. So
they really should have just done that as a free like expansion thing for
Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah, they should have just been like, here, Quidditch is in here.
Free or you put Harry Potter on it, you're easily gonna make money.
$25 for each broom.
That's true.
Something like that.
Yeah, for each broom.
I mean, you do in that game, of course, you have the ability to get mounts, including a broom that you can fly around on, and it's pretty fun. I'm like, hey, they could make a Quidditch game and add it in here and just add some rules, and because you do all kinds of like obstacle courses and races, why not? But anyway, whatever. That game's coming out. Prison Architect 2 comes out on the 3rd of September, the same day as Quidditch Champions. By the way, that is kind of the Prison Architect is kind of a fun little game. I spent a lot of time on it just for a couple nights in a row several years ago, but I had a good time with it. If you like any kind of city building management game, it's pretty fun. The long-awaited sequel, Stalker 2: Heart of Chernobyl, has a release date for September 5th. And first of all, kudos to that team for finishing that game. They went through like literal hell to get that game completed with the stuff that happened, of course, over in Russia and Ukraine and all that. So I'm really glad that team was able to keep working on something that they love. It looks phenomenal. I hope that it's good. And this will be on Game Pass as well.
Game Pass. I'll definitely just buy it to support them. Plus, I've said before, I like to own my stuff. I'll just say it now. That's my game of the month. That's the one I'm the most excited for. So
it does look really good.
If you go look, their older games are dated, but if you go and look at the history of them, if you haven't played them, they were in a way ahead of their time on some of the mission structures and stuff like you would do and how it would impact.
I never played Stalker.
The way it would play out. So the potential of what this one could be, especially being more modern, I'm really excited for it. It looks really good.
It does look really good. Looks creepy and cool, and it looks great. The next day, a completely opposite type of game, Astrobot, comes out on PS5. To me, this was kind of like, this was a nice surprise announcement, and it looks like a lot of fun. A nice kind of mascot 3D platformer. I thought the Astrobot games were both really fun. It's one of the few VR games that I would consider going back to play. I thought this was a really fun one, and they used VR in creative ways back on the original PSVR days. And then the Astrobot that came with your PS5 was a really fun little Sony museum, for their gaming consoles, and it had some fun gameplay mixed in there as well. So I think Astrobot is an adorable little mascot. That game looks like fun. Will it be as good as a Ratchet and Clank or a Mario? Like, I'm not saying it will be, but it looks like fun. I think it'll be.
It's getting hyped up that way. I don't know if ponies are just like sad that they don't have anything this year, and so they're trying to like overdo it by saying how I'm in different groups and the ponies are out about this one. They're just like, it's so good. I'm like,
they're all in.
I mean, it could be the people that are like kind of like our buddy Gaston there, who legitimately, in his heart and soul, just loves platformers. He just loves.
No, I believe him. Like him, first of all, he's not even.
We believe you, Gaston. We believe you.
Anything that's like, I'll describe it this way: anything that's terrible and gay, he's gonna like it. But other people aren't like Gaston. So
this podcast does not endorse that, Gaston. We do not endorse what was just said.
It's endorsed.
By gay, you mean happy, because it makes them happy.
Yeah,
so. Of course. I was actually talking about cigarettes. Like, it's the other word. It's not gay. But anyways, but I'm saying in general, like, come on, Astrobot is not like a major release. And as soon as that trailer was released, because they had nothing else in their show, all these people were just like, "Oh, this game looks so good." It can look good, but to try to hype it up like it's some amazing AAA launch, no.
I'm with you. I think that the Sony State of Play was by far the weakest between Nintendo's and Xbox's and Sony's. It was the weakest of the kind of late spring, early summer presentations by a lot. I think Nintendo and Microsoft are both really fun and exciting, and Sony's was way down. That being said, when Sony looks back at this year of exclusive games of their console, if you don't count PC, even if you do count PC, but if you don't count PC as a console, just between what's only on Sony consoles, still a really good year between Rebirth and Stellar Blade and Rise of the Ronin. And so, yes, their first-party studios are very quiet, but yet Sony has planned things out, whether it's been luck of the draw, luck of the development timing, or really, really great planning. They still have had a really, really good year. Got to give them credit for that, for sure. And then Astrobot is going to be a nice second half of the year addition for them that they can point to say, hey, look, we had a solid year. But yeah, their first-party studios, I feel like 2025 is going to be another big Sony first-party studio
year. I think so. I think they're storing up. Them and Xbox. 2025 could actually be legit 2025 crazy.
Because we're also hitting that kind of like prime of life for the two consoles before we start hearing about the next wave of them. So like this is when it happens. All right, let's keep rolling here. We got Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2 comes out on September 9th.
I'm excited for
it. Yeah, this one looks cool.
If you like Gears, this existed before Gears, but if you like Gears, you should be excited for this game. And I just jumped into some Gears Ultimate today just to like play it on PC because I was getting an itch for like something a little, because I just played a game that was not as action oriented, which I'll talk about later. But playing Gears, this game is I take it. I haven't watched a lot on it. It's going to be very, very similar, and so I'm pretty excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
Now, I forgot to mention with Astrobot, I am almost certainly going to get that one. I don't know if you guys are both wait and see on that one. For you
I'll be honest with you. I didn't text you, but I was like, I'm gonna wait and see if Tim buys it.
I'm gonna buy it.
I buy a lot of stuff, and I'm like, I don't want to buy this. I would rather just play it.
I'll buy it that way you can try it. And but we'll definitely be playing it here. It is a nice, safe one to play with kids around too, so it's a good one. All right, and then as far as Space Marine 2, I'm a wait and see, but that doesn't mean that I'm not excited that it's still happening. It does look really cool, but I am definitely a wait and see on it. Dan, are you going to get Space Marine 2?
I've not played any of these. I think aesthetically this world looks super rad. I've not played a single Warhammer game. So
I think you'd like Space Marine 1. I mean, it's definitely dated, but it always goes on really steep sales.
I mean, if it's like Gears, what was it?
It is and it isn't. It's got more melee than Gears does, although it does have a lot of shooting as well, but there's more melee to it as well. And it feels a little different than Gears. It doesn't feel quite the same.
I'm waiting for the first one to go on sale on Steam. I actually checked for it a couple days ago, and it was still overpriced. But once that drops, I will buy it.
I got it on one of those sales when it was like just stupid cheap, and I was like, okay, well, I guess I forget how much it was, but it's very, very cheap. So I just got it.
I think Sega like listed it as a remastered or something. They did something because I saw one of the Steam reviews saying this is ridiculous. They're running off the hype. They didn't really do anything, and so now they're overcharging for it. And I think it was like $30 or something like that.
Well, then on September 12th, are either one of you interested in Test Drive's newest entry that's back with unlimited solar crown.
I'm surprised this is actually as a date. I feel like this game's been in development for like a decade.
Been delayed a whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
The answer for me is yes.
Yeah.
I do need to watch more on it, but I like racing games and I like Test Drive.
Yeah. It's cool that franchise is still around. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Since Test Drive. I still remember the original Test Drive games back on my uncle's PC, like way back in the day. Like playing
I had
Test Drive games.
Test Drive 5, I think, on PS1. Like I think it was 5. Yeah, I liked that game. It was really fun.
PS1, it was already the 5th entry. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
Just going back to Warhammer real quick, I just pulled up while we were talking an extended gameplay trailer for Marines 2.
Yeah.
It looks legit. You are right. It is more melee, but they definitely have their guns out and they're shooting, but it is like you got a big freaking like not chainsaw, but like no, it is.
It's
basically a chainsaw sword.
Chainsaw. Okay. What?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Looks like it's right up my alley, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, you can jump in there and just start literally chainsawing enemies and shooting them, and it's pretty fun, frenetic type combat. Gears also is frenetic, but it's a little more strategic with cover-based stuff. This one always seemed to me like more of like jump into the fray and just start demolishing things and dive around. And
so even
maybe there's more, but yeah, a little more aggressive from what I played of the first game, but maybe it's not all that way. On September 17th, there's a new MMO coming out. I just wanted to highlight it. It's called Throne and Liberty. I bring it up because I know Kyle and I have opined about City of Heroes, one of our favorite MMOs over the years, and City of Villains, and loved those games. So this is NC Soft. They also made Guild Wars, and this is their new one called Throne and Liberty. It does look pretty cool, but it is an MMO. I don't usually lean into those. I think it is. I don't know if it's confirmed yet or not, but I think it's free to play. But it looks really cool.
Play City of Heroes.
City of Heroes was awesome. Guild Wars, actually, and Guild Wars 2, really good games. You just have to kind of be ready for the MMO grind, It's just very, very grindy. So the next day we have, on September 18th, could be what I think could be this year's Lies of P in Erdtree, The Last Song. There's a demo out for it. I have failed to play it like I wanted to. I blame Elden Ring for that.
Did that get delayed? Because it's showing... Oh, it did. Yeah, because it was showing August 21st, and I was like, oh, I guess he's not going to say it. But it did. It got delayed. Never mind.
Yeah, so got bumped into September.
GameSpot was not right. Okay.
Yeah, so Erdtree, The Last Song. That one looks really cool. It looks really dark. That is definitely a Souls-like, by the way.
Did you play the demo?
I have it downloaded, and I just haven't played it because of dumb Elden Ring. Won't let me play anything else. I asked
maybe I'll download it and check it out.
It looks very dark, but I don't know if it's going to be as good as Lies of P. I'm not trying to say it is. It just it has that vibe of like the Renaissance era, creepy, violent.
I mean, for me, like Lies of P is just under FromSoft games, so like that's how much I loved it. The fact that I played it back to back, so I have very high opinion of Lies of P. So.
Lies of P was an excellent game. On the next day, you get the PC version of God of War Ragnarok on the 19th of September. We'll hit PC.
What's the point of owning a PlayStation, Tim? What the hell, Tim?
Who cares anymore? Hey, one of the best games, especially story-driven games.
I'm so excited about that coming out on PC.
This game's going to look insane on a high-end PC.
Yeah, and that Valhalla DLC is actually pretty awesome, so make sure you check that out. PC players. On that same day, we'll get the Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster drops on September 19th as well.
This was an exciting surprise that they just
I'm excited
a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I never played any of these. I remember always wanting to play that first one and just not getting around with it. And and then like just maybe like they felt, I think I heard it like felt pretty dated as you kind of time has moved forward. So
isn't this one where you can combine all kinds of crazy stuff to make weapons? Like
well, so the first one's like in a mall, right?
A lot of the modern like zombie games are inspired by this game because of like all the wacky like combo of weapons that you can create. It's just like a insane dumb game that's fun. Now the first one had like a lot of like time missions, which pissed a lot of people off. So as they released later games, they kind of got away from that. I don't know if they're going to change it on this remaster of the remaster or whatever.
It'll be
it's called.
Interesting to see if they stick with that.
Or if they're gonna have them, but just make them like a little bit softer. Because it was actually, I remember the first one being kind of frustrating. But I absolutely loved the third one. That was a launch Xbox One game, and that one I beat had so much fun. And the fourth one I played like half of it, and then kind of went away from it. So when they announced this one, I went ahead and bought the like super duper Frank's Big Package for Dead Rising 4. It was $8. So I'm gonna I downloaded it. I'm gonna jump in. I don't know if I'll beat it or whatever, but I'm definitely gonna jump in and play it again.
I saw somebody mention, I think maybe from some footage or something, like there's some mission that's like I think happens up on the roof or something, and it was like a real pain in the butt, but they actually added like stairs now or something. So it seems like they've actually like even tweaked parts. They were like, yeah, this was kind of dumb. Like
it's been around long enough. They know what people hated.
It's very dated that if they were just to make it prettier and re-release it, nobody would. I mean, people would buy it, but there would be a lot of complaining. Yeah. But they definitely have to update it for quality like gameplay. Life. Yeah, quality of life for current gamers. We're a little more entitled now, so
just
like
can
you just like shoot the gun for me? Can you
build stairs for me instead of a ladder?
Can we do a no death, like it's impossible for me to die mode, please?
Can I just have Luigi come in and run all the levels for me, and I can just watch him complete it?
Yeah.
That was Mario.
And then I can post online, I beat the game. I beat the game.
I beat it.
While putting the controller down and literally doing nothing.
Well, the next day we've got Frostpunk 2 on September 20th, which I believe is also a Game Pass Day 1 game if you're interested in a city management game. I thought the style and setting of the first Frostpunk was so cool. And I know not everyone likes city builders. I totally get it. It's a very niche genre, no problem. I wouldn't suggest it to anyone who doesn't already like a good city builder, but Frostpunk 1 I thought had really cool systems. It just at times you would hit these lulls of like now you're just waiting for a certain amount of resources to be gathered from these very limited nodes to upgrade the next things. And I was just kind of waiting and fast forwarding time, and then people would get sick. So it starts to get a little oppressive, the first one. So I'm hoping the second one improves a little bit of the pacing. But I thought it was really cool, this idea of it's in the future. Of course, society's all falling apart. That's how most video game settings are. And so you're trying to keep everyone alive in this never-ending winter, and you have to keep everyone warm enough because it's just extreme temperatures outside. And then you'll have these storms that come in, and the temperatures drop, and so you have to make sure everyone's got the coal they need to survive and that kind of thing. So I like these kind of games, but they can be stressful, and some people don't like them. But I like the Frostpunk style.
Aesthetically cool, yeah.
Aesthetically very cool. Yes, agreed. A few days after that, on September 24th, we have Epic Mickey Rebrushed. I never played this game. It was a Wii game.
This game, so the first one was on the Wii. It was very cool and unique. It just was a problem because with the Wii mode and nunchucks, you didn't have 2 analog sticks, so the camera was like pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
But it actually was a pretty cool platforming game, and you would use of course, the Wii mode and all its motion-y type stuff. Yeah. But yeah, it's actually a very, very cool game, very cool platformer, 3D platformer. So I'm excited for it deserves this, so you can actually play it properly.
So you're a yes on this one, Dan? You're going to be getting this one?
Yeah. Renee will definitely want to, because we played it together, and we just never finished it because, it was just kind of frustrating.
Your wife's like a big Disney fan, though, right?
Oh, yeah. So she definitely was super into it. Yeah, and it was like at least the first time I ever heard of the character Oswald, which is actually part of like the whole history, like
the Disney lore or whatever.
Within Disney, within Disney. So it's actually cool that they kind of like pulled from that.
Huh.
It's part of their.
I'm semi interested in checking it out. Like It's one of those where I'll at least look at it and go, well, maybe it'll fit something I would like.
This is a good example of a game that if it comes out and the reviews are like surprisingly high and everyone's loving it, then that'll push me over the edge. Like, all right, I guess I'll get it if it's that good. I could see that happening. But if it lands where I expect it, like in the mid 70s, high 70s, maybe just under 80, something like that. That's where I would expect it. Then I'm still waiting to see, probably for a sale or something.
Probably going to be there, yeah.
I think that I just looked on Metacritic, and it was the Wii version was like in the 6s and 7s. Yeah. So I imagine with updated graphics, probably hopefully better controls, it could be in the mid 70s.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
The next day we have another remake or remaster, whatever you want to call it. Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, the much delayed.
Definitely day one for me.
Yeah. Why is that, Derek? What's the draw?
I don't know.
Okay, cool.
It's
like
stellar.
Chainsaws. He likes chainsaws.
It's the chainsaws that he likes, and he likes lollipops. He just really likes a good
right.
Sweet treat,
I love a blonde with a lollipop.
Okay, all right. Well, then the next one is my pick.
Speaking of blondes,
my pick for the month is September 26th, The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. That is absolutely my game for September. I cannot wait for that. That was such a fun surprise announcement from Nintendo. I fully expected, Wind Waker HD, which I still want, or maybe they'd remake Link to the Past like they did Link's Awakening. I thought maybe that's what this was at first. And I thought, oh, cool. I'll replay that with this kind of toy art style. I think it's kind of fun. But a brand new game where you play as Zelda, I think it looks like a lot of fun. I can't wait for this one. So
yeah.
I'm definitely day one on that one too. I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, looks excellent. So much personality in those games, man. I love what they do with those games.
I got to the very end of what was the one you were talking about?
Link's Awakening.
Yeah, I got to the very end of it and just got overwhelmed by all the structure of the dungeon. I was like,
that one's pretty challenging.
I'm done looking at guides. I'm too stupid for this. I'm done.
The thing is, I've played and beaten that game so many times on Game Boy, back when you only had one or two games to choose from, so you'd replay things all the time. I played that. I went through so many batteries playing that game on Game Boy, so I was very, very familiar with it, and the remake was quite faithful to kind of the structure and.
But so I enjoyed my time. It's a good-looking game.
Yeah, very cool.
I had fun. Looking. I got really far. I'm maybe gonna convince myself to go beat it. So
yeah, Link's Awakening is excellent. So that's September. Did I miss anything from September? I have no idea. I think that's all of it.
I definitely don't remember any of these dates in my brain. So thank you, Tim, for this list.
October is filling things out. We have the major expansion for Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred, which had a super disturbing trailer, classic Blizzard style. They're just like, what did you do?
None of our listeners care about that game, so I don't even think we should talk about it.
Okay. None of them.
None of them like
none
it.
Of them. Yeah, none of them named Gaston.
None of them like it at all.
Yeah, dumbass game.
So that is on October 8th. I know there's a lot of excitement for that. I think there's a new class, and of course a ton of new content. So excellent, great. Diablo 4, go get it. Same thing. My thoughts on that are the same as Silent Hill 2. Like this remake of Silent Hill 2 that's happening. I'm like, hey, if you're hyped for that, that's awesome. I have no interest in playing either one of those at this point. I played Diablo 4, by the way, for like 2 hours. I thought it was fun, but it's just not my kind of game. I kind of lost interest and moved on. But that's just for me personally. But Silent Hill 2 as well. It's not really my thing.
Yeah. So if you're into horror games, Silent Hill 2 is like one of those games that if you're having a debate about horror games, like what's the scare, it would be Silent Hill 2 is like
up there.
It's up there.
Yeah.
It's like first or second. So I think it's just more like I've felt personally, because I never played the second one. What they've shown, I'm like, oh, I'm actually liking what I'm seeing, but I'm not a purist because I never played the original. So obviously, purists are probably going to be like, oh, Bloober. They just don't trust Bloober, and don't like little tweaks here and there that perhaps they've done.
Well, the game needs tweaks.
Things
that's like re-releasing Resident Evil and not changing anything.
Right.
Yeah, but that's how people are. It's the same.
I'm not
Final Fantasy
debating
7,
with you. I'm just saying like it needs major tweaks. Now I know I've been kind of following the game. I'm gonna buy it. I'll buy it on PC. The major complaints are not, oh, this doesn't look like the original or act like that. Well, there's complaints about one of the characters looks terrible, but a lot of it is just it looks janky. And so I sat down and was like, all right, let me watch a full not something where they're cutting stuff for a trailer, but some actual gameplay. I thought it looked pretty good. The original
one is janky.
Oh yeah, the original is terrible. And I would say, while you're probably getting a decent amount of investment in this, I don't think this is your AAA. Like, this isn't Resident Evil. Like,
it's not like what Capcom's done with their remakes.
Exactly. Capcom is going to protect Resident Evil no matter what. Yeah. So if they screw up, it's not because they didn't invest in it and half-ass it. Silent Hill 2, I think there's an investment there. I just don't think it's at that Resident Evil level. So there is jank. Clearly there's some jank. There is some like voice acting where it's like, really? This is who you pulled for this character or whatever? But when I was watching, I was like, well, I could see this being a Resident Evil type-esque experience. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I'm interested, so I'm going to give it a shot.
It's funny that you say that, though, because the people that love the original don't like that element. They're like, oh, it kind of feels like you're trying to Resident Evil this, and they don't like that. But, I think if they strike a balance where it feels like something modern, like how you're saying with the Resident Evil remakes, but still, I think it's okay to have some of that jank because that's just kind of interwoven into the personality of what that series is. I think it's supposed to just feel jank, just being attacked by these like ridiculous monsters.
The jank makes it harder for you to survive, thus making it a survival horror. They just don't tell you it's the controls that is the survival part of it.
It just needs to be better than the recent Alone in the Dark reboot, as long as it's better than that, which got just panned by critics.
Well, I think this will be a little bit better.
So. Yeah, as long as it's better than that, they'll be fine. A couple days later, on October 11th, we have Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I'm sorry, let me say it correctly. Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, because there's an exclamation point in there for some reason.
Sparking.
Why is Sparking just have the exclamation?
Dude, I don't know. But I know that you and Kyle were both excited for this when it got announced. It looks really cool. I'm not a big fighting game fan, obviously, but the visuals on these games always looks awesome. So
yeah, Kyle more so, because I had only played one of the Tenkaichis back in the day. I was more of like the Budokai, which is just the traditional fighting.
Oh, this isn't a traditional fighting game? I thought it was.
No, so this one's more kind of like 3D, like space, and you're kind of like dashing and targeting and dashing towards each other.
Wouldn't it be more of like a superpower, like superhuman type fighting type game, like superhero game? You know what I'm talking about, where the levels are bigger and it's like
destroying the earth with each beam.
Where you're doing... like there's actually like decent amount of destructible environments in this. Like I saw a snippet where like they flew into a building and like it, obviously rubble and everything, but actually they were like inside of a room that was like the ceiling was like half destroyed, but the room was like kind of half intact too, which is actually really cool. And they were like fighting in the room, which is actually really rad. So it looks like they're putting definitely some effort into it. I mean, the title is stupid, but Sparking.
It's not the worst title. Speaking of dumb titles but cool looking games, Metaphor Refantasio comes out that same day.
A Refantastic title, Tim.
No, sorry. The title's really stupid, but I know you guys are both hyped for this because this is absolutely if you like Persona, play this game type of a game. It does look really cool, even though the title.
I'm just curious how, because I was watching something today on it, and of course I'm excited for it, but I was like, how, like, it still feels like Persona, but they're kind of like, it's almost like medieval, but still it's
more fantasy. It's like taking
but it's like it's like medieval with like JRPG haircut characters like running around. And it's like, this doesn't fit, but I'm curious to see how they make it fit.
It's like their aesthetic, but like running through a fantasy filter. Like
it's re-fantasy. It's re-fantasy.
It's just hilarious, like looking at these like emo characters, like in medieval times. It's pretty cool.
This is what for the rest of the year. This is like this is the game. I'm like, I hope that this is, like when Persona 5 came out and I played that, I was like, oh my God, that was insane. Like holy crap. So
that's a day one for you and for Derek. It sounds like, I know for Kyle it is too. Not so much for me, but it's one of those ones that I will love if it delivers what it looks like it's going to deliver. I think that's awesome.
I was just gonna say it's my most excited for October game. If a certain Dragon Age game doesn't get a release date in October.
Yeah, we'll talk about some kind of general games that don't have release dates to wrap this up. Super Mario Party Jamboree is coming out on October 17th. Looks like it's going to be a fun time. A lot of old boards or areas or games that are being brought back too, which is always fun.
24-player online multiplayer.
Yeah, let's break some controllers together. You know, let's just break some of those analog sticks together as you're trying to spin it around too fast.
That's insanity if you think if you think about it. That's crazy.
I still remember on the N64 controller trying to on my palm to go as fast as I can to spin it around. That's not good for the analog.
You have to wear a glove, right, to protect your.
Yeah, it's really bad for you.
I used to love these Super Mario Party games. I stopped playing them on the GameCube, but I would buy every one of them every year.
This one legit looks like it's going to be better than the last. Well, the last one I thought was really good. The one before that was a little weird. This one looks like they're actually like some of the mini games that they showed real quick. I was like, oh, it kind of looks like they're putting some effort in doing something unique with it. So yeah.
There are some of those mini games over the years that I'm like, I just want to play that game. That game by itself is a really fun game.
Just want that mini game.
On the 25th, we have two pretty big releases coming out. One maybe more than the other. Call of Duty Black Ops 6 arrives on Game Pass day one for the first time ever, of course. That'll be available. And then Sonic X Shadow Generations also out there.
The real big release, Tim.
The real one that people care about.
Shadow is here.
Yeah, I can't keep up with Sonic games. Like, what's going on with this one?
So we looked this up. This is I believe it's 2 of the older games with some new content as well. I could be wrong. I think it's a mixture of old and new.
Sonic Generations was a game that they released where it's like storyline wise, it's old Sonic. Okay, so you remember old and new Sonic coming together, right? Yeah. So I think it's that, but then they're adding Shadow 2, but I don't know if it's like a new. I forget if there's a new story part of it. That's the thing that I'm like mixed up on. But it's the Sonic Generations was its own thing, which was fun.
I like Sonic Generations.
Yeah,
I think that was the last Sonic game I bought. I am interested in buying the open world one. I got to play a little bit because Tim bought it. It's $20 on Steam. I have it in my cart.
I'd say
I wouldn't mind getting that on.
Yeah, I would say, and the soundtrack in that game is bananas.
So just to clarify, because we talked about this when it was announced, Sonic Generations is getting a remaster and is bundled in, and Shadow Generations is new content that you can kind of switch between the two. So it is new yet old game. It's kind of a unique approach.
Yeah,
it's new yet old.
Then I'll probably buy it, not day one, but I'll buy it later when it's cheaper, because I did like Sonic Generations. That's a good game.
I love that we're talking about this more than Call of Duty, by the way.
Oh yeah, Call of Duty as well, guys. Call of Duty.
I mean, it comes out every year.
It's just funny.
I buy it, but it's
listen. Yeah, it's Call of Duty. They need to just do Call of Duty Warzone and just call it a day. Like no more. Don't stop it with the
call it a day.
Yeah, get out of here.
Now, I did hear. I haven't looked into the details that they're doing something different with this campaign, though, right? They're supposed to be doing like a more open world, like open structure. I know they try to do like open area type esque missions in the last one, which I liked, but everybody else was like, "This is stupid. This is just multiplayer being thrown in the single player."
Kyle was mad.
Yeah,
I was the only one that was like, "This is what I wanted. I wanted choice.
This is what I wanted."
Yeah, it's kind of like the Dragon Age.
Then he starts doing. Yeah, you started doing the mocking a guy voice. Yeah, I like it.
The Dragon Age.
Wrapping up the month of October, Life is Strange, Double Exposure. Hey, listen, I know people are critical of the series. That's totally fine. I actually thought Life is Strange 2 was not all that amazing. I dropped off of it, and it didn't capture me. But the first one is still one of my favorite narrative-driven adventure-style games. I loved the first one, and I really did like the one set in that Colorado mountain town. What's it called?
No, I like that one a lot.
The most recent one. It was really good.
No, I know what you're talking about. I actually beat it, which was surprising. I beat the first one too. The second one I started.
I lost interest in,
but I never bought it. I just I think they gave you the first episode free.
Yeah.
And I liked it, and I was like, "Oh, I want to get it," and then I never.
True Colors, thank you.
Yeah, True Colors was good. I never bought the whole pass.
Double Exposure, bringing back a setting and characters that we know from the first season. Super exciting. I'm excited for this game at the end of October. That one is pretty hype for me. But
you're gonna be able to make a choice in it too. Just throwing that out there for anybody who's finished the first one.
Yeah,
you're gonna be able to decide. Well, this is how I finished it, and that's insane.
That is because that was a crazy ending to that first game.
Yeah.
But believe it or not, so far, and there's still other things to be announced for October, which is kind of cool. Life is Strange is probably the one that I'm most hyped about, and my hype level for that isn't super high. Just October isn't a super Tim month when I look at the titles that are there. For you, for Dan, I know it's Metaphor. You said that's your whole rest of the year.
Sure.
Metaphor.
Is that yours? And Derek, that's yours too.
Yeah. Mario
Party. Yeah.
And Life is Strange.
Yeah, so it'll be a pretty good one. And then November, to wrap up real quick with our set due date, delivery dates, whatever you call them, deadlines. I'm in work mode. Mario and Luigi Brothership comes out on November 7th.
What is this? I didn't really watch it.
It's a new one. It's a new RPG.
Yeah, but like, what is it?
Think like
Mario RPG. You said.
So
RPGs. Mario and Luigi RPG.
Paper Mario, think Paper Mario, but not with that aesthetic at all.
Then I would prefer that, because I like Paper Mario games. It's just I don't like the paper part of it. I actually
there's some exploring and jumping around, and then you get into battles that are usually turn based, at least from what I remember from the old Mario and Luigi games. Yeah. So it has like an RPG light, and they're usually very like silly Saturday morning cartoon, funny dialogue.
Okay.
Like it's a good time.
I'll buy that then.
The art style on this one is interesting. I'm interested to see how it looks when I play it for myself. The trailer didn't jump out at me as wow, that's the best art style, but it was also not bad. It was just different looking.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the art style was an issue. I just it felt a little like not as vibrant as it should. Like all these Mario games are like, oh, these are so vibrant and like colorful, and like it just I don't know, it just wasn't as vibrant as it should be.
We'll see. It does look fun. Slitterhead comes out on November 8th. This game looks insane.
Slitterhead. Good family game. Good
family times. Yeah, Mario and Luigi and Slitterhead back to back. And then Dragon Quest 3, the HD 2D remake, arrives on November 14th. It looks awesome. And then, of course, as we heard, 1 and 2 are also getting that same remake treatment next year. So that's pretty cool.
Are those only Switch releases?
Oh, good question.
It's on everything.
Okay.
Or, I don't know, PC, but
all the consoles.
Maybe not Xbox, but
they get left out a lot these days.
I'll check real quick.
Yeah. Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake looks good. And then the last one for November is Assassin's Creed Shadows on the 15th, that's my hype game for November for sure, is Assassin's Creed Shadows.
It's coming out on all platforms, the Dragon Quest remakes.
Oh, Xbox too, yeah.
So I'll definitely get those. And then I'm with Tim, AC Shadows. Again, Dragon Age is the only thing that would trump any of these games. But AC Shadows, I also bought that. It was same thing. I bought the Ultimate Edition. I got it from Green Man Gaming for $105. So it sounds expensive, but when the game's $130, I'll take the $25 discount. And I knew I play with the Assassin's Creed games. I always beat them, and I even play most of the DLC. So I'm all in.
Yeah, man, I can't wait. This is a setting we've wanted for a long time, and so sometimes you have to push the noise aside and just let's see if the game is good. If the game is good and plays like, Valhalla and Odyssey, and it's got the characters and world to explore that I love from these games, all this noise about the quote unquote controversy will go away. And I'm just going to have a blast with it.
I have my opinions on like woke stuff and all that, but I'm able to like look at something, roll my eyes and go, I know why you guys did this. You're stupid for doing it. But still buy the game and play it because it's still going to be fun. And guess what? It's not real. None of this is real.
It's also not woke because he literally existed. So
the thing with this series because he existed, but he was just basically like a bag carrier, and they're trying to make him into something more.
But that's all Assassin's Creed games. They all do that.
Yes.
Right, exactly.
They take characters that aren't
like they're
one of the original ones.
That's the bottom line. They're going to tell an interesting story. And if they don't, then I can come back and be like, hey, they didn't tell an interesting story. That must have been to check a box. But I don't think
Da Vinci was like to the equivalent of the James Bond series, your Q.
That's right.
Right? He was like making you like these gadgets.
That's not the example I was going to use.
Yeah.
Like he's a real figure, but he wasn't who he was in real life in these games, and nobody had a problem with it. Now, and again, I know why they have a problem with it. when you release a bunch of games and you're like, must have black character, must have female. I get it. That's what they're reacting to. But at the same time, I'm just gonna say I'm adult enough to go, I think that's dumb. Or if you are checking off a box, which yes, I do believe they are checking off a box.
It could, I don't know.
I
There's
think it's
no
dumb,
evidence of that,
but
though.
I can look past it and just play the game and enjoy it. If it's good, if it's bad, I'll say it's bad.
Yeah,
But
the
I'm
game's
not gonna
good.
say it's
That'll cover
bad.
up a lot of it. You know, I got to be honest. I get annoyed at that assumption, and then we can move on from this because, you know, we just watched this incredible show, Shogun. It's such a good show. And yet they decided to introduce a fish out of water character as one of the central characters, and he's a white dude who plays a Portuguese guy. But it works because it allows you, the viewer, to now view everything that's happening through the lens of someone else who's learning. And so why can't this guy who's in Assassin's Creed also be the fish out of water
Because
who's
he's
learning and making his way? So that's why I get annoyed at the assumptions that are being made. I think it's the same storytelling technique that we've seen Tom Cruise, Matt Damon, white dude from Shogun, I forget his name, James Cosmo, I think his name is, or something, Cosmo something. And all that to say, I think we need to give, if you like Assassin's Creed games, give it a chance. Don't assume that they check the box. They're probably just using a very popular and, by the way, proven storytelling technique to get you pulled into the story, to teach you about what's going on. They didn't have to, you're right, but they did. And I think other places it's been done and done really well. So, hey, if it turns out it's really bad, then I'll come back and say, hey, I was wrong. This is done really poorly. But
well, it's also too the game's not out yet. Like I don't know if it's just like the stress in our lives in general, like roll up into our cynicism or whatever. But whatever happened to just kind of maybe giving something a benefit of the doubt? Like even if a lot of like the bad stuff is happening, like can't we just take everything as a case by case basis and just evaluate?
I think it has to
you know?
do with what I just said. They're not basing it off just one game and going, they're checking off a box because this is what Ubisoft does on all of their Assassin's Creed Shadow games. Well, there's only been one, and they haven't done it with every Assassin's Creed game. It's more of the current gen we live in, the current society we live in with video games, where it is, and the big, what is it, the big baby sweet ink controversy
I don't even
stuff.
want to like that
Anything
stuff.
that they're on, people are like, you're checking off boxes. You're checking off boxes. So that's where I think a lot of these companies, I do think a lot of them do that.
It's possible.
I'm just saying
I
I
don't know
don't
that, though.
care. I also, the only pushback I would give on, I get what you're saying, and I like that show, by the way. And again, I'm buying the game, so I don't care about this one having a black character or even a female character. But you just released Ghost of Tsushima, which was extremely successful.
So good.
And if it is really a lot of Japanese people complaining, which there was a lot of people complaining from that culture going, why can't you just make a game with us, Ubisoft, our characters, and not bring in other? I get that. That's legit. But again, let's let the game come out. Let's see if it is woke.
Also, the female is
crap.
Japanese too. Let's not forget that. There's literally two characters, and one of them is Japanese. So
yeah. But I don't think they like that she's female.
Well, then there's that element. Then there's that element.
I'm just saying.
Too, so,
I'm seeing the complaints, and I'm personally going, this isn't a big deal, but
no, it's not. Also, one of the best animated shows last year was Blue Eye Samurai, and sorry guys, she's a girl, and it's a really excellent show, and it's wonderfully made. So people need to let the thing happen, and don't make all the assumptions ahead of time. It's the same thing with you kept talking about Dragon Age, how that would be number one. That would be number one. I could look at what I saw with Dragon Age's first trailer, and I could make all the assumptions and then not allow anything else to play out. I'm not going to listen to you. I've made up my mind. You guys are just doing this to check the boxes and making money.
A lot of people did.
I know. No, I know. I'm saying I could do that. And that's kind of the same thing people could do when they see a character like, oh, you just wanted to check this modern day box. Okay, maybe along the line in a company as big as Ubisoft, someone did, but maybe they were able to take that and be like, we're going to actually tell a really awesome story. We needed a fish out of water character anyway, and this is going to be perfect for it. Maybe it's going to work great. I think we need to allow that to happen personally. That being said, I am not up to date on all of the. I don't have any behind the scenes knowledge of what is or isn't happening with all these companies.
Not go behind the scenes. It's messy back there, Tim. You don't want to go behind.
I'm gonna stay in front of the scenes. I don't want to know. But I do know that when I see something that and it's clearly not good, it doesn't really matter to me what agenda they may have had on any side of either issue. I'm just not going to play it if it's not good. And if it is good, I'll probably play it if I like it. So anyway. All right. Other games that are coming out in either Q3, Q4, or just generally speaking, 2024 is the window it's given. We have Avowed, still slated for holiday. This is all the stuff that's either holiday or Q3, Q4 window. So second half of the year, we think it's supposed to come out. Avowed. We have Dragon Age: The Veilguard. We have Hyper Light Breaker. We have Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. We have Lego Horizon Adventures. We have Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Rita's Rewind, which, come on. And then Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game. So those are the ones that are all slated for holiday or fall.
I think EA and Microsoft are going to have a conversation, and one of them is going to do October, and the other one's going to be November. So that's why I think Dragon Age, or Dragon Age would be December. I think Avowed is going to be November. I think October will be Indiana Jones, or you can flip those. But I do think
you think they'll both come out.
Avowed and Dragon Age needs space, so I don't think EA and Microsoft are going to release those both in November. They could. I just think that would be really.
EA's going to do what it wants to do, right? But
I think again they've invested a lot of time and a lot of money in this IP. They don't want to screw it up. It's not a guaranteed hit. I mean, I know it's a popular brand, but let's be honest, they've taken a lot of hits, and then that first trailer, there was a lot of negative pushback, like a lot.
Yeah.
So I really think they have to be careful on when they launch this. I do know from some of the guys that I follow, that follow all this stuff, they were like, it's a guaranteed 2024. It's not a Q1 2025. They are releasing this in 2024. So
there you go.
I'm hoping October because I want it right away, but I'm just thinking you can't release that and Avowed together. That would be so dumb.
Yeah, and Avowed has been confirmed as being essentially the same scope as Outer Worlds, which is what I think most of us expected, and that's awesome. That sounds like it'll be a good time. I will say, to defend anyone, and I include myself in this, who is critical and skeptical about Dragon Age, that was one of the worst reveal trailers for a game that is not a hero shooter that I've ever seen. It was awful. It was a horrible trailer. It was bad.
I remember because I wasn't on this podcast, but like when I watched it in the first 20 seconds, I knew it was Dragon Age, and I was like, so they must be like announcing like a new multiplayer Dragon Age like spinoff.
Yeah.
And it just kept going. I'm like, no. Oh my gosh, this is the new Dragon Age. Like this is the trailer. And I made a post in our group basically saying I'm not gonna prejudge, but I'm not gonna lie. My heart dropped in my stomach.
I
was so disappointed by it.
Yeah. It doesn't mean the quality of the production and the work was bad, but the vibe and tone they captured was very bad.
Off.
The music, it was all
music.
Yeah. It felt like a trailer for what they were originally doing a couple of years in, right? When they were talking about the what was it, game as a service. Like it gave me that vibe. Like that's what it was.
So that's what scared me. And then when they actually showed the game and the 20 minutes of gameplay, I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Of all these games, the one that has me kind of the most like, ooh, that's the one I think I'd install and fire up first. If they all released on the same day, I think I would go for Hyper Light Breaker and then Avowed. Like those are the two that I'm most intrigued by because I really liked Outer Worlds. That was a lot of fun. It's our game of the year as a podcast that year that it came out as well. And Hyper Light Breaker just looks so cool. It's like Zelda. It has a Zelda Breath of the Wild vibe, but it's got that cool art style from the Hyper Light
series.
Team. Yeah. And what's the name of that game where you kind of skate around and fight the big monsters? Jeff really liked it.
Is it Hyper Light something, right?
It's Path of something or whatever.
It's the same team, and so anyway, it looks awesome, and this game looks really cool. And then some general 2024 window games that we still don't have updates on, at least as far as when I made this list, I didn't have any updates outside of it saying 2024. Arc 2. Does anyone think Arc 2 is coming out this year? Is Vin Diesel going to deliver for family?
Let me go ask my family and ask them when it comes out. Go ask my family.
One that I do think will come out this year, I just don't know what date, is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That game looks close. And that'll be interesting because I didn't really get into the first one at all. It just didn't seem to click for me at all. I was like, I don't think so. But I know that's got like a bit of a cult following. Like it picked up some steam. People liked that game. Pretty solid swimming in 7. It was a swimming in 7s, I think. Yeah, 2 very kind of sim, very realistic combat. The second one does look cool. It looks like they're adding more Witcher 3 like characters and storylines to it. Don't know if they actually are. It just has that vibe in the trailers. Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater looks amazing.
Snake Eater.
That still could arrive this year. Do you think it will?
I would like to believe it will, but
I don't know. Let that one cook because again, that's like a whole.
I don't know, man. 2025 is. I don't want to fall in. You don't want games falling into 2025. I feel like that's the year.
Unless you're like a January release, then it might do well, right? Like maybe.
But I'm only saying so. Like my perspective as Kyle's definitely. Like if you were to quantify, a bigger fan of Metal Gear, but I actually like super love the series. Kyle just definitely loves it more than me. But like for me, it's like I'm looking at it from the perspective of like the fans of this series and the whole Kojima Konami thing. They need to get this game right. Like it has to be like what the third one was, or the original third one, and if they do any sort of weird shit, which it seems like they're not, like that guy that they've been interviewing, like the lead on the project, he's like straight up been like, hey, like we know, like we get it, like you guys, like without really saying it directly, like you guys hate us, we get it, like we need to get this right. So
this is one that I wouldn't be surprised either way. I would not be surprised to see a holiday release date comes out mid-November. Maybe even October, but mid-November is what I would guess. And I also wouldn't be surprised to see like, hey, it's slated for March 13th, 2025. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see that either.
I just don't feel like November's that filled up that you could. Again, I imagine a Vow or Dragon Age. One of them is going to fall into that, and then
Indiana Jones could land in November.
Yes, Indiana Jones. Yeah. But I still think November, December, you still have. There's nothing literally in December.
Yeah.
If the game's like ready to go, then cool. But yeah.
Agreed.
I'm just saying, if it's ready to go, this year is probably better than waiting till next year, because I think next year is going to be absolutely insane.
It would be cute though to release it on November 17th, because that's when it came out in 2004. So if they did that,
maybe that's what they'll do.
Exact 20 years later.
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Couple other smaller games that I think are notable. We've got Tales of Iron 2, Whiskers of Winter. I played the demo for this. It's more of that game. I really like that game. I know Sasan likes that game too. It's just got really cool side-scrolling combat. It's very challenging. You have to get the timing right and the blocking and parrying. It's not easy, but I like it. I think the art style is cool. And also, I like that it is narrated by Geralt. The voice actor for Geralt narrates that game.
Yeah, I always forget that. That's insane. Yeah.
But that's one of those side-scrolling games that just caught my attention, and I just 100% of that thing. I just played it, the crap out of it on Steam. I love that game. Replaced is supposed to be out maybe this year.
Dude, this game
it looks beautiful. It's one of the coolest looking pixel art, kind of weird, cyberpunky. I don't know what it is. It looks so cool though.
As far as indie games go, and I mean, I know it's not on the list because it's like, for God's sakes, is it even alive still? Devil Inside. God damn it! You knew, Tim. You know.
I do. Because that doesn't have a release window attached to it anymore.
Yeah. Which they had released that whole thing where they actually like straight up were like, listen,
like a deep dive on it. Remember that?
Yeah, they were like, hey, sorry. Yeah, they gave us like a deep dive, but there was also a press release of like, we had to like circle back around on this because we did some stuff and it didn't quite work out. So, but yeah, between that and Replaced, as far as indie games, I'm like,
now Replaced was another team. They were based in Belarus and they had to completely move because of the war. So that totally derailed their progress there, of course. Yeah. The Plucky Squire, a really cool looking game that is hopefully going to come out this year. It's got really neat art style, that storybook that comes alive kind of a thing.
It's so cool. It's like Toy Story, but then also like being in a book.
Yeah.
Come out of the book, and then it's like Toy Story and then in the book.
And don't forget, I think this is going to be an October release. If I had to guess, it's going to be that first week of October, maybe the last week of September. I think Starfield will launch their Shattered Space expansion, and we'll get a whole bunch more Starfield content. I think that's going to be actually well received. From what you guys have told me, historically, Bethesda does DLC and expansions right. They do a good job with this stuff. So
maybe because they like to do like one release a month.
Maybe Avowed in November.
Maybe the expansion October. I would think Indiana Jones is your big hitter in November, and maybe Avowed December.
That could be. Dude, that'd be crazy.
When did Starfield come out?
Or they could do Starfield September, October, November.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They could.
Yeah,
Starfield was it was a Labor Day weekend, and I bought the Super Edition, whatever, on Steam. So I started playing it that last day of August.
Same.
Oh, so good. I love Starfield. I know people like to crap on it. It's an easy target. I get it. Whatever. I just had a blast with that game last year. I really had fun with it. All right. So for the sake of time, since we're already moving along here on time, we're going to talk real quick about patriotic video games here in a second. I want to bring up some YouTube videos. But before I do that, based on all the games we just went over, Dan, you already said your most hyped game is Metaphor ReFantazio for the rest of the year.
Correct.
Derek, what is the one game the rest of this year that you're like, that's the one? That's my...
It's Dragon Age. It's coming out, so I don't care if it's not on there. It's Dragon Age. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
For me, I think it's Star Wars Outlaws out of all of these is the one that I'm just kind of like, that's the top of my list of hype and what I expect to absolutely love. I could be wrong. Like, I could end up playing it and be like, oh, this really is the copy and paste that Ubisoft is always accused of doing. It could be. And, a dark horse right behind it could be the new Legend of Zelda game. Part of me is a little bit, I guess worried is the right word, of like, I don't know if I'm going to love playing a Zelda. I might really immediately wish I had a sword and whatever. But I also get the feeling Nintendo does these games right. I'm going to be like, dude, this is so awesome. Like, I have a feeling I'm going to love it. And Echoes of Wisdom is going to be up there for me too.
Nintendo's going woke, so they're probably going to go broke.
They're going woke.
The series that's always been called Legend of Zelda.
Hey, moms everywhere are finally going to be right. You're going to play a Zelda. Fine.
Exactly. It's true.
Stop playing Zelda.
Couple quick headlines, and then we're going to talk about some patriotic video games now that 4th of July is behind us. Yeah, it is, but it's still kind of, we're close enough in the range of it. I'm still on like a 4th of July weekend. I heard fireworks last night. People still shooting them off, so I'm just gonna.
So dumb.
So I'm just gonna keep going on the patriotic theme. But a couple of headlines before that: Sony's Horizon Netflix series is reportedly not moving forward. There's something about the showrunner, who is also the Umbrella Academy showrunner, and there's some things with his treatment of people that are apparently really bad. His behavior, kind of abusing his position. But I don't think it's like inappropriate in terms of like being accused of something Me Too style. I think it's more about he mistreats people and takes advantage of his power over them to get his way. And I don't know if that's true, but these are the kind of things that very, very toxic and bullying style behavior, it sounds like. So anyway, it's unclear right now if it's going to move forward with a new creator, but it sounds like there's definitely a parting of ways between that creator and the show. Is the project scrapped? Will Horizon ever become a TV show? I don't know. But we'll see.
Does it need to become a TV show?
Doesn't need to. Very good question, Dan. That question is going to come up here again in a few minutes too. Does it need to be a show?
Too,
we'll talk about that.
The dinosaurs.
We'll talk about that with a different headline in a second too. Does it need to be a show? We'll see. Former LA Noire developers are working on a new 1940s game. This musician accidentally leaked it. So he's this Australian composer and performer, and was kind of showing a video of some music being recorded, and he says, here's a quote, "From the creators of LA Noire comes Sowden House, a psychological thriller set in the 1940s LA that will have you questioning your sanity."
I thought that studio shut down, though, didn't it?
Right, these are just the developers, though.
Okay. So, like, the people that did make it are like on a new team?
Noire. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Okay, because, what was it called? What was that team called? It was Team Bondi. That's what it was.
Yeah. Pretty kind of cool. I thought LA Noire was a really interesting, unique game. kind of weird to revisit with the technology how it is now compared to what it was very at the time. At the time, it was groundbreaking, and it is unique. Got to give it that. Resident Evil 7 director Koshi Nakanishi will direct Resident Evil 9. Been confirmed this week at the Capcom Next digital showcase that aired, which is exciting, I think. If you played Resident Evil 7, like I'm pretty sure all three of us did. Dan, you played it, right? Okay. That game is amazing. It's really, really good. It's kind of what got me back into thinking, oh, I think I might like Resident Evil games because
it saved the series. I mean, because 6 was not
series. Yeah.
6 was amazing. You shut your mouth, Dan.
Sure,
don't say amazing. Don't just throw out the word amazing like that. Don't do that.
That 6 was not swimming in sevens. It was
Leon's roundhouse kicks, Chris's punches. All of that was in that action-packed survival horror game.
Do you work for Capcom now? Do you work for? Okay,
I do.
Derek works for Capcom.
Yeah. What was the third guy, by the way? Do you remember the third guy?
It was Albert Wesker's son, but I don't remember his name.
Yeah, like Derek Wesker.
Probably Chris. Chris Leon Wesker.
So here's a quote. He says, "It was difficult to figure out what to do after Resident Evil 7, but I found it. And to be honest, it feels substantial. I just can't share any details yet, but I hope you're excited for the day that I can." Which is like,
excited.
Please be excited.
I'm excited.
But yeah, a lot of folks, including apparently pretty reliable insider, Dusk Golem is the username. I guess this person has been pretty consistently reliable on their leaks and their insider info. They're saying it's looking like early 2025 for RE9, which would be consistent with when they release their Resident Evil games in the first half of the year, usually.
It's just we haven't heard anything, so that would be
that would be crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, Resident Evil 9 is absolutely happening, and it's going to be in good hands if the RE7 director is at the helm. Speaking of someone at the helm of something, George R.R. Martin seems to have teased potentially an Elden Ring adaptation to TV or movie. He kind of unprompted brought it up and seemed to kind of be teasing about it, but it might just be one of those things where they're just exploring, like, could it be? This is one of those ones, Dan, I go back to what you said about Horizon. Like, does it need to be, though?
Does it need to be?
I don't know. There's something about the way the Elden Ring story is told, and this DLC is a good example of it, that I really like the understated nature of it, where I don't really know what's happening, but it's weird and it's creepy, and it feels like I just stumbled upon something that was kind of frozen in time for hundreds of years, and I awoke in it, and it's just strange, and I don't know. I kind of like it, and I don't necessarily know if I want a bunch of like fast talking, quippy characters running around fighting.
I think there's a way to tell that story in an understated sort of way.
Yeah, in the right hands, yes.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot to it. Like, I've watched a lot of lore videos, and the plot and the story is actually really, really good. And I think it's actually a good game and universe that, I mean, you could follow the game, or you could just say, I'm going to make an Elden Ring show built in that universe, kind of like Fallout, where what made Fallout great is it felt like a Fallout game while not following any of the Fallout stories. So they could do that if they did that, and as long as they get that tone and vibe down, I think it'd be really cool. I would be excited, but I don't know. I don't follow George R.R. Martin, but last I checked, he just kind of talks out of his butt and says whatever he wants.
He says things,
It doesn't mean he's actually like.
He says things like, "I'm writing the 6th Game of Thrones book." Sure, you are.
Yeah,
sure you are.
George Railroad Martin's on the choo-choo train to Looney Town, so
I don't think he really cares. He doesn't really have an incentive to do anything. I mean, he doesn't have anything to prove to anybody as far as his writing ability, and he doesn't need money. So it's like, what drives him to do anymore?
Yeah, it does make you wonder, like, what's lighting that fire anymore now that you've kind of hit the pinnacle in a lot of ways. You mentioned some good lore videos, Derek. One that I really enjoy, and his videos are long and really in depth, and I love the way he dove deep on Elden Ring. Like, I've watched actually a couple of these multiple times. It was really, I was like, what is this? I couldn't quite wrap my head around it.
I don't remember everybody's name, so
it's this guy Vati Vidya, and he explains it in a really clear way. He explains who the characters are, and he breaks them down into multiple different videos of, like, here's an overview of this character story. Here's the lore of the serpent and why Rykard was the way he goes into, like, the different elements. It's someone who clearly loves story and lore and history, and he does a good job of laying it out. So Vaatividya, Vaatividya, highly recommend. He's got 3 million subscribers on YouTube. Clearly, he's doing a good job with people like it. His videos usually get multiple millions of views. Yeah,
I was gonna look it up just to see if I've actually watched him before.
Yeah,
probably have.
He's very, very good. All right, let's talk patriotic video games real quick.
Yep, I just wanted to hear his voice. He's like him? Very.
Yeah,
I'm very deep.
He's like a teacher.
And I'm going to tell you all about the lore of Elden Ring.
Yeah. He kind of sounds like a professor or something. I like that guy.
Yeah.
When I say patriotic video games, what game comes to mind to you first, Dan? First game you saw, patriotic, American, USA.
America.
What do you see?
Honestly, I'm struggling. I'm not thinking of one. I play too many Japanese games.
Oh, it's Far Cry 5 for me. Okay. But there is another one. It's Assassin's Creed 3.
Okay. Oh, sure. Man, I don't know. I can't think of anything.
Well, Dan,
I play too many Japanese.
I'm here to help you. Okay.
Thank you. Bring me back to America.
I'm gonna bring you back to America. We're gonna share computer sound here. Let's get the right window going. Hang on a second.
How about Duke Nukem? Is Duke Nukem America?
Here we go. Here's one.
Coming to your home in 1995.
Who's it?
Yeah.
Only on Nintendo Ultra 64.
Ultra 64.
Ultra 64.
It's a little USA. Is it? Okay.
Dude, this music awesome is giving me the was America.
Yeah, that was Team America. Yeah. All right, how cool is this though? Cruising USA, of course, very patriotic. You literally all the racetracks are at these like notable places around the USA. I think Grand Canyon, San Francisco, as you see here at the Golden Gate Bridge, New York City. Anyway, very, very cool. So Cruising USA came to mind. Here's another one. I think you guys will.
I can tell you what Sasan and I's would be. It's 18-wheeler American Pro Trucker.
God damn it.
America Pro Trucker.
I don't have a video for this one. I'll just mention this one because some of our buddies in the group also mentioned it. Spec Ops: The Line.
Oh,
it's patriotic in a way because you start to realize what side we're really on when you play it. It's something. It's by the way, still a really wow type of a game. It still plays pretty well. It really does, even though it's dated. The gameplay's dated.
That's one I would love for them to remaster and re-release.
It's an eye-opening one. It's one of those ones that sticks with you.
It's a mind effort.
Yeah, it sticks
that
with you.
One in Alpha Protocol, like games that are people are like, the stories are so good, the twists are so good, and it's but they play a little rough nowadays.
I do think Far Cry 5 fits the bill there too, Derek. With I think Ubisoft captured the spirit of what could be extremism, but also the good things about America, while letting us explore a really cool American landscape in modern day USA. I liked it a lot.
It was also where it was set. It was
Montana or whatever.
Yeah, a lot of them had their American flags out there, and it was all about the rebellion and all that. Yeah.
But you mentioned this one, so I'll bring it over just because I think they do trailers right, man. Check out the opening of this Assassin's Creed 3. I'll check that a little bit.
Yeah.
Their cinematic trailer. I mean, and watching it shows the bald eagle, such a nice touch right here.
What a cool time frame to do
and die.
Yep. And hey, listen, I know that game's got its problems. I'm aware. But we talked about it recently, Dan, with our Assassin's Creed chat. There's something about that game that if it weren't for the modern day stuff, which I didn't like the direction it took in 3, but the main core, the setting of the main core game, I'm still intrigued by it. Give me some of the more modern gameplay in that setting again, and I do it. I play it again.
Well, up to that point, it was very unique because and
it had this awesome feature with trees where you actually hit them with this grapple hook and then you jump down and pull them up. It was it had some really cool.
Yeah, the dual axes, right?
I think the biggest issue was most people didn't like the protagonist.
Connor was not. He was very dull because Ezio was so
annoying.
great, and then Connor was a step down in terms of like interesting.
There was a little
character.
bit of a twist with that too. You know, a little bit of
a twist. I like the twist in that game.
I would argue that in a way, Grand Theft Auto 5 captures this amazing and sometimes accurate caricature of all the Grand Theft Auto games have of modern U.S. culture. Looks like GTA 6 is about to up the ante on that again, but for now, I think 5 takes the cake at capturing, and it also lets you explore American feeling cities in some really fun ways. So I've always liked the Grand Theft Auto games when it comes to.
I think we would fail as a podcast. Which, since I'm not on this podcast, I don't care if we fail. If I don't mention Wolfenstein, I mean, come on.
Sure. Get the punch of
Nazi. There's nothing more American than B.J. Blazkowicz.
That's right, B.J. Blazkowicz. And by the way, the 2 new ones, amazing games, like really good, really good games. What's more American than someone being decapitated and reattached and becoming stronger after that?
What's more American than killing Nazis? I mean,
and that too. Yeah, got to kill those Nazis. Guys, here's one that I think you'll appreciate. This is not a game that I've played, but this is freaking hilarious. Check this out.
Saints
Row 4.
Of national crisis, we need a commander-in-chief willing to kick politics right in the balls.
Yep.
Is that the Transformer guy talking?
Oh, Jesus.
That's the president, guys.
Sure. Yeah, the most powerful.
This is when Saints Row went a little too far.
What the hell, dude? Crack it down.
Get it? It's illegal aliens because they're actual aliens that he's fighting. Get it?
I see.
Yeah. So that's Saints Row 4, of course, where you are the president with superpowers.
That's a thing. Yeah.
That's a good time. That's a good time right there. I also think Red Dead Redemption, both those games capture kind of like the Western American spirit, like that kind of.
Yeah.
That's the closest thing we have to like that fantasy fairy tale setting that's purely American. You know, a lot of other regions have their own thing. The Western is kind of ours in a lot of ways. So I've always liked that. So I think those games feel patriotic to me in a way, but not as patriotic perhaps as, let me bring this one over here, as this right here.
Bro. Yeah.
Bro Force.
Kicking after justice.
Bro.
Of course, this is just the animated trailer. It's not the game. The gameplay is just, the side-scrolling, violent Contra style of gameplay. But
anyway. that's supposed to be Rambo.
Oh yeah.
Mr. T, and then Arnold, right?
Yeah, and they continued, like they had DLC with like Bruce Lee, but they just changed their names, like Bro Lee, or like Dirty Harry was Dirty Broy, and he would still have his Magnum. Like they didn't even pretend that they weren't ripping off.
Sure.
I mean, honestly, the real heroics were whatever legal team navigated that for them. I have no idea how they did.
You just changed you just say bro, and it's all set.
Yeah, I have no idea how they did it. There's a game that I never played, but I was always familiar with. I always saw it, called Freedom Fighters, where Soviet Union's taken over the U.S. and occupied New York City, and now you take the role of Christopher Stone, a plumber turned resistance movement leader fighting against the Russian invaders. I mean, what's more American than that? You know what I mean? You're a plumber stepping into the line of duty. Gotta love it.
That was like a game that I always wanted to buy. And when I say always, like for years I would go into GameStop. This is back then. I don't still go into GameStop looking at it, but and I would pick it up and I'm like, I really want to get this because I would hear how good it was, but I never bought it.
Well, this last one I want to show you is in honor of, I know that Derek and I have been playing a lot of Elden Ring. So in honor of FromSoft, this is a game that I wasn't familiar with. You guys maybe know about this. It's a FromSoft game from 2000 and something, 2003 or 4 or something like that. Wow. Maybe the most American game ever made. It's called Metal Wolf Chaos.
Oh,
Beginning with a large-scale military coup d'etat that erupted in various cities throughout the nation. Freedom was dead in America.
You are the president, and you get into a mech to fight off the vice president.
Goddamn right you do.
This final hope being the U.S. president himself.
Holy crap.
It does look kind of fun, I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Look at all those guns that come out of your arms.
Oh my god.
What's crazy is I've never even heard of this.
Yeah, I completely forgot about this, but I remember.
So they did a kind of a remaster of it probably 10 years ago.
Richard!
What do you stand for, Michael? Be certain of your death here and now.
My god.
Now, come at me with all your body and soul.
Oh my god.
All right, that's enough of that. That's enough of that.
Come
Anyway,
at me with all your body and soul, he said.
so there you go. There's our ode to patriotic games. And I just want to say too, for Metal Wolf Chaos, not only are you playing as the president defending his country in a mech who is stopping the vice president from taking over the country. There's a direct quote from this game when I was Googling it a little bit. That's a line in the game. The character says, "Suck on my missile punch." So
yeah.
I don't know what's more American than that right there.
I mean, that sounds like something I would write, so I'm for it.
Sure.
And also the fact that this is a From Software game blows my mind. Like, I know they make some mech games, right? The Armored Core series, of course. Right. But
that was when they were trying to go woke. They were just ahead of the time because they're all Japanese, so they're like, well, we should probably make a white people game.
Yeah.
And so that's
they were like, hey, this word doesn't mean anything. Let's just use it. Oh my gosh. So yeah, there you go, guys. I hope you feel more patriotic after that segment. I know I do. I know my heart is full of red, white, and blue now after all of that.
Sure.
So
sure.
Absolutely. All right, well, let's wrap things up with extra things that we're playing. I know Dan, we'll start with you, and then Derek, for sure, you and I are playing some Elden Ring. That's really the only thing that I had to update on. So we'll talk about that to close things out. But Dan, how's your progress going in the not Suikoden game?
Ayuden Chronicle 100 Heroes is still a good time. So this was probably the case for also back then too, and games were even less handholdy back then. But man, like, I kind of feel like you have to, like, if you're trying to get all of the people, like, you need a guide.
Yeah.
Like, otherwise you're just backtracking to every single place that you've been to already to see if there's a character somewhere. And like, that just sounds, to be honest, kind of miserable. Because there's
Can I just tell you, I printed out a lot of pages from GameFAQs back in the day.
Okay.
Game
so
FAQ
that was
website. Oh, I printed out so
probably
many.
A thing people did often.
Yeah.
So that is kind of what I'm doing right now. I've been chipping away a little bit at the story, not as much as I thought I would have from the last episode, but also because I've been backtracking. I definitely had missed characters in places that I'd been to. So I'm like, let me get these people, because when I was trying to upgrade the city there that you're building, I was like, there's like some spots in the thing on the grid that it's like, I should have these people already of these certain shops. So it's like, where the hell are they? So I was just like, screw it, I'm just gonna pull up a guide. So now I have all of that unlocked.
Nice.
So I'm still very much enjoying it, having a good time. What was it? There was something watching wise that I was gonna mention, but I can't remember now. But the main thing, Tim, is I bought something. It's called the Riff Master guitar.
Oh my word! It snaps together.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It you can fold it for like easy travel, which is cool.
Of course.
And then on the back, there's like a little latch here that you click. There we go. So now it's locked in place. Nice. So they finally made a new guitar that you can purchase to play Rock Band for, and
that's cool.
That is awesome.
I think there's stuff in Fortnite too. I think it was like mainly triggered because of Fortnite, because you could, I guess there's like a musical element there. I haven't even gone into that because I just don't care.
Because Fortnite's kind of like a platform now, right? They have other stuff.
Yeah, it's a platform.
Yeah. I just haven't even checked out that
other games now.
Yeah,
music element, because mainly this is for Rock Band 4. So
now you should support Fortnite because they got you something that maybe you would have never gotten without it.
Well, they certainly need the support. They're struggling. So
they need help. They need Dan's help today.
They are really struggling.
But yeah, it's awesome. It's wireless. Cool. You don't have to buy batteries for it. It's got the charging port somewhere over here, so you could just charge it up that way. You don't have to buy batteries, which is awesome. Because I still have the 2 old guitars, but they need batteries, and at some point I left them in there for too long, and one of them burst. You could still
How
use
much was that?
130. So a little pricey.
I mean, if you're gonna use it,
yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't buy it, but yeah.
I already bought extra songs on Rock Band. Last night I was watching I finished the anime. That's what I was gonna mention, but I'm gonna wait for the next time when Kyle comes by.
Oh, okay.
And then I was playing a couple hours last night, just playing. I am rusty as all hell. It's just very not great at Rock Band, but yeah, I'll get back into the swing of it. But
dude, the rhythm games really get me. Like my son likes to play his Oculus VR thing, and he loves Beat Saber, which is a super cool game. Beat Saber.
I want to play that so bad.
It's super cool, but between mediocre and bad at it. Like I'm like, can we just do it on easy or maybe medium if I know the song? But like, and then I'm watching he'll play it on expert, and he's just going like super fast. I was like, I don't know. I'm a slow old man now, so whatever. It's fine. Yeah. It's fine. For me, other than Elden Ring, which we'll talk about in a second, I did start watching the show Wednesday with my wife. She watched it when it came out a year or so ago, 2 years ago, whenever it came out. I guess a new season's on the way. And I just didn't. I was like, yeah, Adam's Family's fine, but I don't really care. But I'm watching it with her. I actually really do like it. I think it's really well made and good writing, and the characters are interesting. So I'm having a good time watching Wednesday. Nice. I like that show.
Yeah, we like it.
Really good casting. I mean, it's impossible to top Angelica Houston as Morticia and Raul Julia as Gomez. They were just perfect, But all that being said, they did a really good job with this cast. It's a fun show.
Yeah.
So watching that. Derek, anything non-Elden Ring you want to highlight, and then we'll talk some Elden Ring.
A couple things. I beat Persona 5 Royal today. So I've been working on that game for well, I started with Persona 5 at launch in 2017 and got like halfway through it, more than halfway actually. Stopped. Then Royal came out, started that. Finally, step by step, I got to where this last week and a half, I put in 30 or 40 hours. I just kind of was like, all right, I'm gonna beat this.
Through it, man. Jeez.
So that game's like a big deal for me because that's a game I've been talking about for 7 years. Where I'm like, it bothers me that it's still not finished. So I'm glad I finally beat it. So I finished that, and then it's what?
I said that's a short game. Sorry.
Well, they give you that fast forward button when they talk way too much, and they do talk way too much.
They do talk a lot.
I do appreciate that. And then today I actually jumped back into Stellar Blade. I actually did not really care for Stellar Blade. I played like the first couple hours, and I was like, dude, I don't really like the combat. And while the chick's hot, I just don't see this being something I would care about. And then I had Rudy on my podcast to do the spoiler cast for Hellblade, and he just kept talking about how much he loves Stellar Blade. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot.
So
I'm gonna give it one more shot.
Apparently, my love for it meant nothing to you.
It doesn't.
Apparently, my love meant nothing.
It doesn't. Yeah.
It doesn't.
I've been talking about that game, praising it, and
no, only Rudy can get to
only
me
Rudy
in that way.
Yeah. Well, you and Rudy have a special connection, and we don't want to question it.
Sounds pretty rude to me, but
Okay. But I'm probably 5.5, 6 hours into it now, and I really like it. Like now it's clicked where I'm like, okay. And then Dan saw that I unlocked the heavy armor for her, so I'm enjoying.
Heavy armor.
Running around with her heavy armor.
I do like that it is just all aesthetic. It's just like it's just whatever you want to wear. It's all the same shit, except for the skin suit though. Have you popped on the skin suit just to see?
I have not unlocked it.
You have it. It's there. You just have to. Yeah, it's like because it doesn't show there, but like I think if you click at the top, it like I don't know. It's like kind of weird, but it's definitely there, and it removes your shield completely. So
well, then I'm not gonna do it.
No.
The combat, I still struggle. Like there's times where I'm like, it clicks, I hit everything, and then sometimes it can get a little jarring. But again, I played a couple hours and then took a long break. This is my first day back, and I played for 3 or 4 hours straight, and that's after I beat Persona 5 Royal. So I didn't even like take a break. I was watching soccer and then jumped right into Stellar Blade. So really, really like it. I think it's going to be my main until NCAA football comes out. It looks really good on my 1440p panel as well. It's like a good. The reason I bring that up is because I was trying to play it on my big screen. I don't feel like it looks great on my big screen, but that's more my big screen issue than it is the game. Especially now looking at it on this. But really enjoy the combat. Character story, I don't know. It is what it is.
It takes some time getting through. I think once you kind of start, like my thing was like once you start kind of realizing the whole, like why all the planet is the way that it is, and the connections of like Eve and what she is with like the people and all that. It's a bit more interesting. It's not anything new or unique, but there's a little bit of like like surprise stuff at the end. It's like, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting and very anime and stuff. So
Okay. Well, I'm planning on beating it. So unless I hit like a wall or something, but right now I'm starting to get into that flow where I'm like, okay, I get the systems, understand how this plays differently than Souls games, and I'm enjoying it. And here's the thing I was most shocked by. I actually texted Sasan because he hates the game. And I was like, dude, did you get to the part where it like opens up? I didn't realize how open some of these worlds get or areas get, and I was like, this is super freaking cool. So I really like that. I really think highly of that. And then just because I'm never on the show, I'll mention I did buy a PlayStation VR 2 and I bought a MetaQuest 2. I had a MetaQuest 2 before, but I gave it to my son. I bought it again. And the reason I'm bringing this up is, first of all, the PS4 VR2 is phenomenal. Like, Resident Evil games on that are top tier.
Terrifying.
And it's terrifying, but they're actually like it does what I wanted VR to be. And that what I mean by that is you can play it where it skips, like I want to go there and you just skip, but I like to walk around and move like it's a shooter, and they let me do that in these games. You have to adjust some of the options, but yes, I have gotten dizzy a couple times where I'm like, oh, okay, I'm turning too fast or something, but most of the time I don't really get dizzy, and the controls, the graphics, everything looks really good. So I highly recommend if you can get a PSVR 2 at a decent price. I got it for 400. I don't regret it. And then I bought the MetaQuest 2 because I was hoping to play Half-Life Alyx, and sure enough, it went on sale, dropped to 20. That game, dude, all VR games I've played, this is like next level when it comes to graphics, like everything, just everything. I don't even have
like
to go
3
into
years
detail.
old now, right? It's been out for a while.
I was looking at it, I was like, this is absolutely gorgeous. This is absolutely insane how gorgeous it is, and it's very buttery smooth. Like it plays really well. It understands what I'm trying to do. Very minimal frustration so far with that. So yeah, that's the main stuff, and then obviously Elden Ring, which we can talk about now.
So Derek, I know you finished the Elden Ring DLC and even went back and played some of the base game because you got kind of rehooked into it for a little while there. So I'm at the point, as I hinted earlier in the show, where I'm at the very end. I don't know if we were recording when I said that or not, but anyway, I'm at the very end. I could go into that final boss fight, but I had some areas of the map that I hadn't even gotten the map fragment for, so I wanted to go finish unlocking all the map and see everything. I knew there were some bosses I had avoided. So I'm working my way through all of them. I've now fought the Putrid Knight and the big Bale Dragon and all the a bunch of the optional ones. I've knocked out at this point. There's a few left I still need to get to.
I was going to ask you, have you done all the legendary except for the final one? Like, have you done the other 9? Or
I haven't actually looked at a list to see which ones I'm missing.
There's 10 legendary. There's only 4 that are required, and then the other 6 are optional.
So like the toughest one for me, I think I mentioned this on last week's show, so I won't dwell on it too much, but the toughest one for me by far was Commander Gaius. He's been by far the hardest boss for me in this DLC. Even Mesmer, I think, he was tough. I died to him a lot. Like, it took a while for me to get his pattern down and understand it, and then get the right gear and all that.
Are you using your Mimic, or are you soloing it?
I was soloing it until Commander Gaius and Mesmer. I used my Mimic for both those fights. I was like, screw this. I'm using my summon. Like, I'm not trying to. No one's watching. I'm not streaming this. Like,
there's no brownie points here that you're gaining.
No brownie points here. Yeah. So
well, and you got to remember, these boss fights are designed. That's why, like, a lot of gamers were complaining this DLC's really hard. I'm not saying it's not. I'll talk about it when I talk about it, but it is hard. But like, the whole game is designed with they're expecting most of the players to use the tool that they put in the game. Yeah. So a lot of them are going, well, that's easy mode, so I'm not going to play with it. And then they're getting mad that the game's hard. I'm like, yeah, because they design the bosses to be ultra aggressive because they're expecting two people to be fighting.
Yeah, so it'll go to you, it'll go to your summon. You know what's funny with the Commander Gaius one? Even with my Mimic, I couldn't beat him. He's the one who killed me the most. He probably took me like 20 plus tries. It took me a lot of tries to beat him. It wasn't until I told the story of this last week, but I got these very weak little ashes called the Great Shield. They're these little undead guys that have great shields. They die super fast unless it's an enemy like Gaius who can't get through the Great Shield. So like, they kept him distracted for the entire fight, and I'm a lightning caster is my current build with like maxed out faith basically. So I'm just like throwing lightning bolts at him and just killed him real fast because he was stuck on all these little great shields. There was like 6 of them that were gathered around him, and so like I was like, all right, that might be kind of cheesing it, but also it's a little strategic, Dan, as you kind of said last week. Like, hey, it's called strategy. That's called like thinking about what works and what doesn't. Absolutely. So. But yeah, like fights like Mesmer, I didn't feel good after the Gaius one. I was just annoyed, and I didn't feel great about how I beat him. I didn't actually learn his patterns and do a good job of fighting him. But all the other fights I felt great about, like the Bale Dragon. Mesmer took me several tries, probably about a dozen until I finally got him. But everyone else, it's been 2-3 tries at the most, and then I kind of get into the rhythm and beat him. And so I'm in a good pattern with it right now. There's this really creepy boss under this temple, this giant. It's like the Finger Queen or whatever. I'm serious. Yeah.
Finger me.
Some kind of finger maiden.
Mother of all fingers.
Yeah. And so bosses like that are, I don't know, maybe they're super tough. Depends on your build, I think. Because some of these bosses I just kind of like swiped through real fast. No problem with her. Like, she wasn't a problem at all. Just because I was a magic caster. So I don't know. It was easy to beat, and other ones are much, much tougher. So I'm having a blast with it. The areas, the one thing I'll say about it, I think I've seen every area now in the DLC. All of them are just visually amazing to me. I think the base game had some really cool visuals in other areas that were maybe a little more forgettable visually, but they were still fine. They were good. Like the snowy areas, I think are cool, but they don't really stick with me. They
underground areas.
The underground areas, yeah, the deep root depths was amazing. Yeah. So this has a lot of that. On the way down to this boss called the Putrescent Knight or whatever he's called, Putrid Knight, whatever he's called.
Seen him.
Well, when you're working your way down to him, I didn't realize where I was going. I just thought I was going down to like a cave or something, but I kept going down, and it kept going down, and then it opened up, and it was like, now you're under here, and then it had all these new enemies on my way down to fight this guy, and even then you have to drop down super far to get to him. And then this fight against this dragon that I just beat recently, you go up this mountain, up to the top of this like windy, lightning flashing everywhere peak, and you just keep jumping, and then you keep going up, and there's boss fights along the way, and you keep going up and up and up, and finally you get to him and fight him. Everything just feels so epic, and I've heard people talk about the verticality, and now that I'm in the final area, that whole experience getting to the final kind of fog door for that final battle, that whole experience. The verticality there was amazing, really well designed. Like, I mean, the design of these areas and how you explore and how you can circle around and unlock shortcuts and elevators and doors, it's just brilliant. Like, I really do think they're on top of it.
That might be one of the things I'm not saying they don't get applauded for this, they do, but I don't think people talk about it enough. I think they create the coolest levels and worlds, and then the way they can connect them. And bring you back to a place that you were at and you forgot about, and then you're like, wait, that's connected to this, which is connected to that, which is so it's the way they do all that, like the way they build their worlds and their levels, the design is top tier. I can't even think of anybody off the top of my head that does that better. Especially, I don't know if you ever played Dark Souls 1. That one's absolutely insane. And you got to remember, it's before anybody did what they did. So they were like the first ones to ever do it. But like, you're playing this, Demon Souls is not really connected. You play Dark Souls and you realize, spoiler, everything, literally everything's connected. So you think you're going into different areas that are separate, but you always end up wrapping around, and the entire area is like, I think Sasan's the one that while I was playing it, he's like, no, let me send you a map. And he sends you the map and he's like showing me how it's all connected. And I was like, holy shit. This is absolutely insane that they did this, and they did this on the 360 hardware. Like everything,
it's very Metroid, which obviously is a 2D pixel, going back, but like
they're just doing it in 3D worlds where it's like it's really large, and so it's easily for you to forget that these things are linked together. And so when you end up in an area and you're like, wait, this took me here. I'm at the castle that I was at in the very beginning of the, that
like that they could think ahead like that, is absurd.
Yeah, the base game had a lot of this too, where you'd like, oh, I think I found a secret point where I can drop off, and then walk around the edge of this wall. The DLC has it. The base game has some of this. So I think I found some that only a few other people had. I might even leave a message like, hey, jump here. But it turns out the more I go down, I realize, okay, I'm going to drop again. Oh, there's another spot. I'm going to keep dropping, and then eventually a new title of a new area pops up, and it's like, oh, this is a whole area. Like, and this is the only way that I could have gotten there and unlocked it. And then you unlock an elevator to get back to a previous area, and I'm like, dude, now I've got this whole new area to go explore. And it just gives you such a good feeling. To me, it's two things. The From games, at least Elden Ring specifically, but Bloodborne did this for me too. It's not just the rush of defeating a boss, which is awesome. I love that feeling of finally beating the boss that you were stuck on or having trouble with, or it was a fun fight or whatever. But it's also exploration and feeling like you successfully navigated an area and a space, and then kind of wrapped it up, or dropped the ladder or opened the door that was locked before. It's that Metroidvania like rush that I just love it. And I just think this DLC does it brilliantly. The visual art design in this game, I think it's second to none. Technically, it's second to a lot of other games. I mean, that's not because it's ugly or technically a problem. It's just not as up to par as other games that are modern. But design-wise, like art design, it's at least on par with the best games that are out there. It's gorgeous, like wonderfully designed, even if the engine itself is starting to feel a little bit.
I was gonna say, it's like when you texted me back and you're like, imagine if they weren't trying to make this for every console and blah blah. I'm like, yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, not that they've ever really cared about being the prettiest game or anything like that, but like they do, their art style and their design is top notch. Now, if you could just, like you said, if you were only devoted to one engine with like a certain, I'm not even going to call it next gen, it's current gen consoles, and you leave the old ones behind, we could have gotten something super special. Because technically, their biggest flaw actually is they always have hiccups with like their performance, and and even on PC, like they lock their games to 60. I can't play it at 120 frames per second or anything, which again, it doesn't seem like it's a big deal, especially if you're used to playing on consoles. Like, who cares? Who cares about 120? There's no difference between 60 and 120. Yes, there is. Like, especially if you get used to it. It's more the point of like, why are you locking us? Why would you lock us? And it's because they're so archaic in how they do everything. They really do need to branch out there. They've
done a good job of patching and improving over time, but they do need to. I'd like to see at least part of their team lead the way with the technical element. Let the art and design and boss and
keep that all the
gameplay.
Same,
let those folks keep doing what they do, because it's
pay
wonderful.
A couple dollars to somebody who knows what they're doing when it comes to like implementing ray tracing and how to optimize for PCs and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah.
It's similar to Nintendo too, though. Like with the Switch, I mean, look what they're capable of doing with their first party games. Obviously, it's no God of War or 7.
Yeah, but what they're doing, like, I was just blown away. by Breath of the Wild and why am I forgetting the other game?
Mario
Tears
Odyssey and
Tears of the Kingdom.
Tears of the Kingdom.
Just
like that
blown away
dude.
with how big they made the games, but then at the same time how beautiful they made them.
Yeah, Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart, Luigi's Mansion 3, the Xenoblade Chronicles games, like certain games they're like, hey, they've kind of leveraged this in a smart way. They've done a good job with it. Pokemon maybe not so much. But
well, and even a Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it's like amazing that they have that big game on there, but then also graphically, like resolution wise, it's like you could tell they had to take some serious hits. But
so I feel that with Elden Ring sometimes too, but there are still so many great moments of there's probably 3 in the expansion alone where you finish an area or come out of a dungeon like area or a boss fight or over a bridge and a door opens and all of a sudden it's just like, what is this? Like it's new colors, it's a new like you see waterfalls in distance or maybe one of those big fire giants walking through a river or whatever the thing is, and it's like, holy crap, this is just it's an awesome feeling that just kind of sweeps over you, and it does that several times in this DLC, and I love it. And there's plenty of times that I'm freaked out. Like there's this whole area deep down below. It's like this abyss forest or whatever it's called, abysmal forest or something, where everything's madness. Even the sheep have like madness in their eyes.
Yeah. Well,
and
that was what I was.
Looks like an Alice in Wonderland type place. Like it's just like crazy with like
wild,
yellow and orange flowers everywhere. It's creepy.
It could have been a cool area. They just actually made it not fun to explore, and there was like nothing there.
I just got there, so I haven't explored all of it.
I won't spoil it, but it just wasn't like that fun to explore. That's actually the worst place in the game. So let me just share real quick because I know we're running long on the show. My experience with the game. First of all, I absolutely loved it. It's an absolutely amazing game, and I would think adding this expansion on, it has to be top 5 game for me. I'm not gonna say it's number 1 just because, oh my god, last year I literally said 3 games were my favorite game of all time. It's like, dude, like what is it? Every game you play is just your favorite now. So it's got to be top 5 somewhere, maybe top 10.
It makes the story better too, by the way. This DLC makes the story more interesting for overall Elden Ring.
Yeah, which I know people complained about that, but again, I won't spoil it. But my experience is I used my New Game Plus build, so I was already I think I was already over level 200 or something. I was real high. And I used my Blood Fang sword. So my build was already good for this DLC. So I just want to state that before I start talking about stuff. Plus, it's going to sound like I'm bragging, but there is no bragging once I get to a certain part of my story. All the bosses did not take very long to beat except for one. And there's 2 builds that I used. My first build was Blood Fang. I wiped out all of the main bosses that I fought before the one I had a problem with. Nobody was more than 5 tries except, and I cannot believe this is the one that drove me nuts, the Erdtree or whatever it's called.
Has 3 health bars.
Erdtree. Yes. And I told you through text that I died multiple times thinking he was dead, and then he just comes back up and he one-shotted me. I'm like, I thought you were dead. Jerk. Like at one point I put my controller down because I was like, okay, that wasn't that bad, because I had died a few times just because I was struggling to get my timing on the rolls, because he hits you from far away and then he goes flying from one end of the screen to the next.
He literally slides across the swamp to hit you.
And he was doing a lot of damage because I wasn't playing with a shield. My whole build is two-handing my Blood Fang, or I use a lot of, I have like 28 faith, 28, 30 faith, so it's high enough that I can do basically most of the stuff I want to use, which is like I can buff my character and I can, use like Dragon Fire and stuff like that. So I'll use the faith to like buff my character, and then I'll switch to my 2-hand. So there's no shield. I have no protection except my armor, and so I'm basically playing the game kind of Bloodborne mode, where it's a lot of dodging. And then if you don't play the game, then you don't know why the Blood Fang is special. It's special because it has probably the best special move in the entire game. And like you click the left trigger and your dude does like this flip spin kick, like swing, which does a lot of damage. Yes. So the whole time he's doing this flip switch which then it backs out, by the way. So he goes in, he hits, and then he backs out. So he jumps out. So he not only hits you, but then you can't touch him. And then if you hit right trigger right after it, he shoots right at the enemy and he disappears, so he can't be hit. He shoots at him and he does like a strong attack. So it's this combo that you can do. You can pull it off. It does use MP, but it's really powerful and it's really quick. So that build's really efficient. Plus, it has bleed in it, so you're causing a lot of the bosses are weak to bleed. So I'm doing great damage on all the bosses. I had trouble with the Skadoo tree or whatever, Skadoo tree. That was the main one I had trouble with that build. Regalia, whatever, if that's her name.
Relana,
Mesmer. Yeah. Mesmer and the jumping lion or whatever. Muppet
Golden
dude.
hippopotamus. Oh, the dancing guy, the dancing lion.
The first one.
Those guys didn't cause any problems.
It's creepy. That's such a cool design on that one.
It's got
It's
like
a cool
2 rows
fight.
of teeth. It's freaking cool.
Cool music too for that fight.
And I want to say this for the listeners. I use my mimic, so I'm not talking about I was soloing it. I use my mimic. So then I got through like all the main bosses. I did explore a lot, but I ended up where you were, where I hadn't explored enough. Like I think I had only beat like 3 or 4 legendary bosses. So I think I had only beat the ones you were required to beat. And at this time, I didn't even know what was legendary, what wasn't, until I got to the main boss. And then I was like, let me look at this list. So, I'd beat 4 because I beat the Skadoo tree, which, by the way, you want to beat the Skadoo tree before you fight the last boss because it impacts the last boss. So anyways, again, without spoiling it, I died over 50 times to the last boss with my build, and I did not want to change my build because I was angry because I had literally wiped the entire DLC. Nobody was giving me issues. There were some enemies in the world that would cause problems, but no bosses were causing problems. This one boss, I could not beat him with my mimic. I couldn't beat him with online help. I couldn't do anything. In fact, I got so angry that I would get in, and this is like a minor spoiler, but if you call, it's going to actually help Tim. If you call your mimic, he waits for you to call your mimic. Like he'll just stand there. And then once you call your mimic, he shoots at you. So the game is like programmed to go, oh, he's calling his mimic, I'm going to attack him right now. So he would one-shot me and die. So he did this to me at least 20 of my deaths where I didn't pick up on he's reading that I'm doing this. So I just kept saying, that one doesn't count. That one doesn't count. That one doesn't count. Because he just one-shotted me. I was like, I didn't even get to fight you.
Except it says in big red letters across the screen, you died.
So I kept saying, I only died 30 times. But the real number's easily over 50 times. Anyways, I ended up beating him. And then after I beat him, that's when I changed my build to beat him. So I changed my build. I went and got the fingerprint shield, which if you don't have that,
it's so good.
That's easy mode for this game. So let me explain. So I got the shield and I switched my build up and destroyed the last boss.
Are you using a poke weapon? Because you can just stay behind the shield and poke the whole time.
Yeah. What did I switch to? I can use my
something, maybe.
Oh no, I switched to my katana. Because the katana's quicker. And it does bleed damage. So I switched to the fingerprint shield and the katana, which was level 25 plus 25, and I beat him with that. I took that build and fought the rest of the legendary bosses. I'm not lying. This is not an exaggeration. I did not lose to one single boss. That includes the big bad boy Bale, who I've seen online people complain about him just as much as they complain about the last boss.
Oh, really?
So yes, I've heard a lot of people complain about Bale. And I can see why. Bale was crazy. The camera was going all over the place.
He's such a cool looking boss, dude. Like he looks so good.
I love like his design. But like the shield,
he's got like a leg missing, and there's a whole story behind why he's got his leg gone.
Yeah, there's context behind why he's
Yeah. It's really cool.
But I didn't lose to any of them. I just traveled from one area to the next. There's a bunch of cool ways to get to these bosses too, which it sounds like Tim found some of them. Some of them aren't just like, hey, you just walk into. Some of them are like you have to follow the story or a quest to get to this boss.
Yep.
And I will say this, funny enough, I beat the Mother of Fingers, beat that boss the first try. Then I go back to the area where that boss was.
There's two boss fights. There's two fights, right?
And there's two bosses, and I died twice there because I beat one of them, and then the second one started attacking me. I didn't know that was happening, so I died. Well, I died to her first. Then I beat her, and then that dude came after me. I'm like, what the frick is going on? And I died to him, and then I took care of him.
By the way,
so other than
you
that,
can get her as a summon Ash, and then if you go to a certain location in the game, you can join her with her counterpart who is defending that finger maiden guy with the magic. Those two knights can become a conjoined like Ash summons. So you summon two of them. So
that would be
you can do that.
Cool.
Yeah. So and that's just one thing you can do in the DLC where it's like you summon her Ash, and if you get it, then you have to go to a certain location in the game where you find the body of her counterpart who also attacks you before the Mother of Fingers. There's someone that invades your world. You fight. They have the claws.
Yeah, I fought that one.
So you actually once you beat that one, you can join those two together as like a conjoined summon. It's pretty cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
But so it was easy after that. And I was like, okay, I'm actually kind of bored with the DLC because nothing was even difficult at all. It was like easy mode. And so then that's when I decided, hey, I think I want to do like 100% follow a walkthrough because the game's so freaking huge. And I'm just going to start a new play. I'm not going to do new game plus plus. I want to leave my new game the way it is in case I want to jump back into DLC, which I will. But I want to start a base game, and I got like 20 hours into that, and I'm wrecking everybody. But that's because I'm following Fighting Cowboy, who the first like 6 videos, he doesn't even have you fight anybody significant. He just like run here, do this, pick up this thing, go get that, do all that. And then by the time I got to the first he's not a legendary boss, but the first boss, Ullman dude. Oh, he touched me once. I absolutely wiped the floor with him.
Yeah.
So that's the thing where like I try to have conversations with people. I get it. You don't want to hear it. I understand because it's time consuming. I'm invested in this world. So
same here.
This stuff's important to me and I like it. But when people are like, they should put easy, normal, and hard in all games, I don't agree because there literally is a built-in easy mode to these games. They just want you to figure it out. And like I said, the developer or the designer, whatever his name is, Miyazaki or whatever.
Miyazaki.
He even said like that's why he creates these games. So if you ask him to take that out, you're taking out why he even creates these games.
The ultimate answer is that you just need to let the creators create. And if it's not for you, then it's not for you.
Don't play it.
And and I'm sorry.
And now we have a bunch of people that are going, okay, we see that there's an audience that wants to play these Souls games, but they don't want to invest the time and energy. Because honestly, that's all it is. It's not I'm not good enough. That's dumb. That's like saying I'm not good enough to play guitar. You know how many people I've heard say to me, "Oh, I always wanted to learn how to play," and I always just say to them, "No, you didn't." Oh, because you would have done it. It's not like
you're so aggressive back to him.
It's not impossible. It's like it's possible. You just have to be willing to learn it. I wasn't good at Souls games. I've shared my story with it before. I bought all of them day one and sucked at them and quit and was like, stop buying them, Derek. You suck. And then I wanted to play. I wanted to be a part of the crowd. I have no problem saying this with Bloodborne. So that's where I was introduced to Fighting Cowboy, and he helped me beat Bloodborne. And that's when I got good. I wasn't smart enough to be good. I have no problem saying I wasn't smart enough. He helped me get smart. Now I don't need his help. I can go and play any of these Souls games by myself because I know the systems and I know how they work, and that's what becomes easy mode. They're still challenging, don't get me wrong, but once you get good, they are easy mode.
What's cool is that there's actually multiple there's so many different approaches you can take. The nice shield, the fingerprint shield. There's other shield options that are great too. There's some dual wielding you can do. There's a Royal Knight's Resolve move that you can add to like a big heavy weapon, which makes it do like 120% damage on the first hit. So you can literally, if you do it right, you can one shot a lot of bosses if you get the right running, if you have the right talismans on and you just slam with both of your giant colossal weapons that are both buffed up. You can do one, sometimes two hits and they're dead. Like I'm talking bosses that you can, so there's cool builds you can do. Right now I'm doing a very it's all lightning and fire. So I'm kind of like this incantation master is the build that I've got, mostly faith-based. I'm just throwing lightning from a distance at everything. And I can dodge really well. I keep my weight really
well
light.
Against Bale.
Well, so there's an ancient dragon lightning strike where you just stand in the middle and hold it up, and then it just shoots out these red lightnings in a increasing circle. Like 5 casts of that, and he was dead. I just had to keep getting under him. I just had to keep like rolling underneath him because he's so big, and then I just had to launch that.
That's all I did. I stayed under him, but anytime he went crazy, I just held my shield. And for those who don't know why this shield's so amazing, and
it takes like no stamina to block.
It doesn't take any stamina. So like in the next boss that you're gonna fight, I highly recommend you using that shield. If you can beat him without it, you're a better player than I am. But he's relentless, and even with the shield I was using before I got that one, I would block, and then eventually he would bang me to where it would throw me back, and then it would leave him open just to hit me twice, and I was dead. And I was like, and by the way, I can't do this.
The fingerprint shield in the base game, it's in an area that there's really no reason you'd ever go there unless you love to explore or follow a guide. Like it's down this very obscure path, so deep underground. You fight a very optional, very difficult boss. It's a different version of Moog, and even then you got to continue to navigate your way down a very there's platforming that's really tough down there. I died a bunch trying to like platform my way down there.
Sounds like it's not easy to get, so I mean you get it and it's very beneficial.
The game is definitely rewarding you for the effort of going down there, because like Tim says, and it's hard to describe unless you actually watch a video. You'll see that I don't even know how anybody discovered this. Because it's not one of those where you just look down a dark pit and you're like, wait, it looks like I can land there and go there. Like none of the stuff looks that close. You actually have to like run and jump on some of them to actually get to have a shot. In fact, I died a gazillion times, and then I was like, I don't think I can make this jump. And I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm not exaggerating. I don't think I made the jump. I think I jumped somewhere else. I got lost. I was like, wait, did I make the jump? Wait, I'm there. How did I get here? That's literally how I reacted. I was like,
I'll take it.
The place I died 10 times in a row. Where is it? I was like watching a video and looking at my guy. I'm like, I guess I passed it. I don't know what happened, but
so what's been really cool for me, and I'm glad to hear you talk about this too, but what's cool for me, and Dan, I'm sure you can relate, is and we'll wrap up with this, but when I dive back into a game like this that just so captures me, both with the lore and the setting and the gameplay and all the different systems and the builds, I love all of it. It just reminds me of like what are my favorite things about games. Like I completely escape into this world, and I feel the same way about just a handful of other games. You know, you got Zelda, most recently Tears of the Kingdom did that. Witcher 3, of course, is up there. Some of the games we've talked about. Those are the games that I just lose myself in. You know,
Final Fantasy VII, Ocarina of Time, Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yep,
I would say if I'm picking like 3.
Yeah,
like
for me, like Chrono Trigger is one of those. Like I fire that up and I'll just get lost in that game all over again, and I know it really well, and that's fine. I'll do it again.
Played these games like upwards of 30 times, and it's like it's still like, you know.
Yeah, and so Elden Ring has become that for me, and it really had no right to, because I was not a Souls game fan. The only one I played for longer than a few hours was, well, no, that's not true. I had played Sekiro for several hours. I had gotten up to Madame Butterfly, which is, what is that, like a third of the way through the game. It's not super far, but it's
super far.
But it was probably like 6, 7, maybe 8 hours I played of that game by the time I got to her. So anyway, Bloodborne is the only one I had finished, so I had no reason for Elden Ring to be like I wasn't as hyped as Jeff Keighley was, is what I'm trying to say. I wasn't crying at the trailer, you know. I even played it at first. I was like, I don't know if this is for me. I remember telling Derek, I don't know if this is for me. But then I kind of like pressed forward and got to certain elements of it. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. I can coat my sword in fire. I like that. You know, like these little things I started to be able to.
Well, it's just so much at your disposal in that versus Sekiro is such a focused game. You know, it's different. It's very different. So
also, and that was my negative to the DLC. And again, I'm curious. Now, keep in mind, before you fight this dude, he's been nerfed a little bit. But I will say this. My only negative to the DLC was the fact that I had to change I don't mind changing builds or whatever.
Same.
There's
I don't only have to though.
But I feel like I beat everybody easily, and this guy, I don't feel like with my build that I was wiping everybody, I even had a shot. I don't even know if I would have had a shot, because there's only two types of people I was seeing beating the game. Keep in mind, I beat it the first weekend that it came out, and that is, you had to be a parry god, meaning every time he swings, you had to be able to parry. You had to be able to parry. And I was watching these masters do it, and I'm like, I can't do that, bro. You guys are insane. You had to either be a parry god, or you had to do the build that I ended up doing, which was fingerprint, which is, they were just like, dude, just stand there. Just tank them, and then poke them. Tank them, poke them.
And then, by the way, there's a lot of like poking weapons. There's thrusting swords, there's lances, there's halberds, there's lots of swords and pikes, really, that you can just keep the shield up the whole time, and you're just poking from behind it.
And I'm like, I really don't want to play the game this way. And so the boss, that ending boss fight for me personally was god awful. I know I'm not alone. I'm not a minority. I'm actually in the majority. But that's why they actually, I don't know how big of a nerf they did, but they did nerf him, because they were like getting a gazillion people complaining. And he was just cheesy. Like, he was really cheesy. It's one thing if it's like he's difficult and you just need to suck it up and get good at the game. I respect that. All their DLCs, apparently, they've always had one boss that's like absolutely insane.
Yeah, and Bloodborne, it's like the orphan something.
Yeah, it's the last boss. So it's kind of, I think that was the vibe they were going for here. They wanted to just wreck people. They wanted people to go into it thinking that they were gonna make it through easily and just completely wreck them and catch them off guard. And they definitely did that with me. But I just felt personally he was very cheesy. Like, it was just like there's just like, I'm like several times like, I don't know what you want me to do. I don't know what you want me to do.
I do love all the new weapons too. They've added new weapon types. There's this monk style of fighting. I want to do a build on that to try that. There's
just so much.
You can essentially become Mesmer. Like, you can do all of his fire magic. You can use his armor set, and you can use his gigantic this spear that's sitting up here on my shelf. You can use that giant spear, and apparently you do all these sweeping attacks. So you can basically play as Mesmer, essentially, which my build is close to it. I just need more dexterity, and apparently I can do it. But yeah, man, the builds that they've added, the magic, they added a whole new field of magic, this fingerprint magic, that mother of fingers you talked about. You keep unlocking new magic types with those characters, and you get a whole new school of magic, basically, which I haven't even.
It's a game that could live on for literally decades, because you don't. Yes, you're fighting the same bosses and stuff like that, but if you keep doing different builds, it becomes and feels like a completely different game. Like, even my two builds aren't like significantly different. It's not, we're not talking like magic versus melee, but like they were two different types of melee, and it felt like I was playing a different game, completely different game. Like, I had to adjust because I hadn't used a shield in over 2 years. You know, in Elden Ring, because I'd gotten so used to my Bloodfang build. But like, there's just so much you can do, and even me, like, I don't dabble with like magic and stuff that much, but I'm like, oh, I wanna use these faith options. So I'm gonna start leveling up my faith more, because there's like some higher end faith items that I'm like, I want that. That's super freaking cool. Plus all the buffing and debuffing you can do with faith builds makes a lot of the fights a lot easier too. So
by the way, that's what I did with Vale. I did the Flame Protect Me incantation, which And then between that and the boiled crab, there's a character you can buy boiled crab from, and it like greatly boosts your defense. So I ate the crab, I did the flame protect me, and I just stayed underneath his belly and just kept doing my ancient dragon lightning strike until he was dead, which didn't take very long.
I saw that video about the crab meat, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, one of the guys was like, dude, he doesn't wear armor, and he was actually showing us the players
that
the
crab
numbers.
Meat is crazy good.
He's like, so if you just equip your shield, this is, see how the number goes up? Okay, now I'm gonna take this crab meat, boom, it jumps up to like 70%, where he's like, so 70% of their hits, you don't take any damage, you only take 30%, and I'm not wearing any armor. Now imagine if I put armor on. Now imagine if I do this. And he's like showing how essentially you can go fight the end boss and not take any damage.
Also, if you make sure it's equipped, your mimic will use stuff that's in your inventory. So they are always buffing themselves up too. Anyway, dude, such a good game. So fun. Dan, thanks for letting us wax eloquent about it a little more. I'll let you do that with Refantasio or
so let's talk about some anime, guys. No.
It has been fun though, Derek. It's been good to have you back. Thanks for coming and helping us preview the rest of this year and talking about Murica and video games and a lot of Elden Ring. So appreciate it. Thank you all for listening and watching. We'll see you next time. And Stellar Blade.
There's nothing more American than Elden Ring, because living in this country sometimes is insufferable, just like Elden. No, I'm just kidding.
And some of the bosses are more difficult than others. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. You see what I'm going. Yeah.
I see.
Sometimes you feel like you're getting fingered by a maiden, and
well, that's how we're gonna wrap it up then, right there. That's the end. Thanks, YouTube. See ya.